Ninjas in Pyjamas up against Elevate, both stuck in this best of three to try and fight their way out before heading home on that first day of the Copenhagen Major. That's a lot on the line for both of these teams, but you might be wondering, how exactly did we get here? Well, let's have a look at the bracket and start things off just to see exactly what fate has caused these teams to be in this lower bracket on the first day. We started off with Norception up against Riven, and Riven coming out on top, Sonics winning the second match, which left Norception up against LaVega. We've just seen that, and with Norception winning, LaVega unfortunately is out today. Now, when we're looking at Group B, which is the group that we're looking at the moment, the last best of three of today is going to be between Ninjas in Pyjamas and Elevate. So once that bracket shows up, we can have a little bit of a run down memory lane. Now, looking at 6 Karma, they had an absolute dominant performance against NIP. So NIP, they want to crawl back out of this one if they want to prove themselves. Space Station Gaming had a pretty good game themselves up against Elevate, so both of these teams are now secured in that upper final with NIP and Elevate fighting it out for what's left to be heading into that lower final. Now, the winner of the 6 Karma up against Space Station Gaming is basically securing themselves a spot in Phase 2, which is a pretty nice situation to be in. But to cover this best of 3, we did another switcheroo. This time, I mean, one of them is backed by popular demand, and that's because they're a very nice, lovely, kind man. And if anything, they even told us to remember to charge all our electronics before we went on a flight. That's how nice Ace is. And then he's with this other guy, Dez, who's like, yeah, Dez, what do I say?
I mean, Dez definitely didn't remind you to charge your electronics, to be fair.
Absolutely.
Why would I do something that nice? It's not for Ginny.
It's nice to be nice, Dez.
Can you make a guinea pig sound?
I'm not trying.
I think you can do. You like your sound effects.
No.
Come on,
I've no, because I know where this ends. I've been down this road before.
Yeah, it gets clipped and put on Twitter.
It gets clipped and put on Twitter. So
do it for us. Do it for
I
the
don't
fans.
think I'm going to make a very good guinea pig noise, so I'm going to... And that's why I didn't do it.
That's what I've been listening to for the last 3 hours with Ginny backstage. All right, we're ready for our head-to-head. Let's take a look at the two teams coming into this picture. Elevate versus NIP. It feels weird to say that one of these two teams we are very used to seeing at every single major event, are going home on day one, but one of them must go home. Is it previous world champions in NIP, or is it going to be Elevate, Tim?
Well, that's a very good question, Des.
Oh, is it, Tim?
It is, because at the beginning of the day, I think, you know, the majority of people, had we taken a vote, would have said straight away, NIP win that.
Yeah.
But let's not forget that charge back that we had from Elevate against SSG. They really showed us that they've got an ability. You know, yep, they're playing with the coach. Sunan is in, but Sunan stepped up. You know, got a few kills, particularly at a good cost because of survival. You know, we're doing very well in a lot of rounds. Ape went absolutely off, was just dominating.
Went absolutely ape, you can say.
Just everywhere around the map. He was absolutely everywhere. So for me, I think coming into this is nowhere near as clear-cut or straightforward as we might have expected. You know, if you'd have asked me about it at 9 o'clock this morning, you know, I might have said slightly different. Elevate have really shown us something, even with the situation of playing with the coach. And NIP didn't look like their World Championship winning selves, let's be honest, against 6 Karma. And I think this could be a pretty close matchup.
For me, for NIP, I think it's the slowness that's always plagued them, right? Like, many have regarded them as a
been a problem for years.
Exactly. They're a very, very capable and competent team, but their issue has always been the clock.
Yeah.
They're not the quickest. We see them losing countless rounds to the clock. It just doesn't really help them. And I'm concerned that coming up against players like Ape, given how well he played earlier on, he will bully that clock away from them. Yeah. It will very quickly disappear, and they'll be losing rounds to themselves rather than strictly against Elevate. But if this was a best of 1, I'd probably go out on a limb and say that Elevate could win it. I think because it's a best of 3, I'm expecting NIP to win it.
Yeah, I think over a longer period of time, I would agree with you. I would expect NIP to be able to wear them down. But you're absolutely right. For me, if I'm Elevate, I'm leaning into that roam game. I'm saying, right, just get out there, make a nuisance of yourself, cause some chaos, you know, just be as slippery as you can. And that could well be a big stumbling block if NIP don't get it locked down quickly. They need to be going in there in numbers, you know, 2, 3 in there with drones in front of them and just getting aggressive, clearing those roamers out, making sure they've got map control. And then get on with your execution. Don't let them burn that clock away.
Just put drones in front of you. Lol, it's that easy. It's simple as that. Well, let's see how simple it is on the 3 maps that we're heading to in this series. Here they are. We've got Chalet, Villa and Cafe coming through, starting out with an NIP pick on Chalet, Tim. Chalet, we play on Chalet.
We love to play on a Chalet, Des. We love to cast on a Chalet. I'm glad that we're getting it on the first day.
This is a massive desk, by the way, isn't it?
It's very large, isn't it?
I feel like you could sleep on this.
Plenty of room for notes.
Oh, taking actual notes on the desk.
Yeah.
We should get some whiteboard markers. That's
I don't
a
just
great
mean
idea.
laying them out.
I mean actually writing them on here, but
I do like this.
You could write down 3 maps on here if you wanted to, Tim. Chalet, Villa, Cafe, what are you thinking?
Quite easily. I think I'm a little bit worried. With Chalet being NIP's pick, I sort of think, right, okay, let's say NIP win Chalet.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit worried for Elevate on Villa.
Given they start an attack on that map,
I know it's their pick, but we say time and time again, Villa is a big map, and they've maybe lent into the time factor that we spoke about for NIP. Pick a big map, make them clear it all out, but I'm just a little bit worried because Villa's not just a big map, it's a very strat-heavy map. You've got to be really switched on to it. You've got to have everybody in the right place at the right time because it's too easy to get stretched thin. And with the coach standing in, I'm a little bit worried about whether Elevate can do that or not. I think maybe a smaller, simpler map might have sort of suited them a little bit better.
Yeah. I mean, Cafe for me is always an exciting one if we get there. I think it's a real classic, like, showdown map.
Yeah.
It's where teams really go to war with each other because it's considered such a hard map to attack into. It really will come down to pace, I think, across both that and Villa, as we sort of touched on yourself as well. We're looking at Villa as a map. I just can't get away from the fact that Elevate have to start attack there, which makes me think probably a 2-0 in the works, to be honest.
It's possible, but as Elevate showed, after getting absolutely dominated 6-0 by SSG in the first half on Oregon, they brought it back to 6-4 at a point. You know, anything's possible. Anything is possible. And if we see Cafe, who knows at that point? I think if Elevate do manage to take the map, the concern for me again, you know, if I'm an Elevate fan and I'm sat there watching this and I think I'm looking at NIP, I'm a little bit like, we know how good they are. They've got people like Muzi and Pino, and I'm sort of thinking, has Six Karma essentially just like hit a wasp's nest with a big stick, and now we have to go and sort it out, and we're gonna have all these angry wasps just like, you know, coming at us, trying. There's gonna be lots of stings all around.
The bring us a chaos.
And it's just not gonna be pretty. It could, you know, you could be going into a team who are now a little bit aggravated, a little bit agitated, like, right, we need to prove a point here, and NIP are most certainly capable of proving that point.
Well, they're off buzzing somewhere because right now we are waiting for a few players at NIP side. When they get in the lobby, we will start the game. Don't worry. As always, there is no secret.
There's no button.
I mean, it's right there. I just haven't told anyone about it until you've just said it.
See, I tried to cover
See, if you didn't mention the button, I wouldn't have to talk about the button, Tim. We've gone through this 1,000 times.
Press the button.
Press the button then, Tim.
Press the press button.
Press it then.
It don't work for me.
Why not? Are you a caster?
You're in charge.
You can also press the button. It's a button. No one needs to be in charge. It's not some secret key. It's just a lovely big red button that you can hit at any time.
We're going to have to wait.
So why don't you hit it, Tim?
We're going to have to wait.
Hit the button, Tim. Let's start 5v1 right now. Wizard can live up to his name. Deliver us some magic.
We'll just give Elevate a start. It should be fine. What's the problem?
Again, I kind of get the sense they're going to need it, but time will tell. What do you think about the other game so far today?
I've absolutely loved it today. There's been a few nice surprises. I say it every time. I'm going to say the same again. Fresh should put this on his bingo card. I absolutely love the chaos of group stages, phase 1 as it is now. I just love it. You get new... I don't love you. You get new teams coming
Don't lie to me like that.
You get new teams coming along, you know, who maybe people haven't seen on this sort of stage before. And then you get your teams coming in who you think, right, you know, these are teams that could potentially be winning the tournament. Let's see how they do. Sonics, SSG, both looked very good. You know, NIP. Little bit of a surprise. We've had our upset. We've had a bit of chaos. Six Karma coming through. Absolutely, I won't say absolutely destroying them, but they've knocked them out. And Six Karma have now got a best of 3 to qualify. Simple as that, you know. So I absolutely love it. It's been really, really good fun today. I really enjoyed watching Six Karma. I want to give them the shout. You know, I know I'm a bit of a, I'm a lifetime enjoyer. It's fair to say. I think everybody knows that. But yeah, I want to give Six Karma a shout because they've done really well.
Stop looking at me so fast. I've got no time to react. Anyway, we have had an update, I promise. There is a reason why we are delayed a little bit. We are having a quick PC swap going on. We had to have a tech issue on our first day. Obviously, it's the first day of a major. So what we are going to do is go out to a little 15-minute break. So grab yourself a coffee, whatever else your choice of beverage might be at this time of day, night or morning, based on where you're watching from. Me and Tim will sit here and drive each other absolutely mental for 10, 15 minutes. We'll come back and then we'll have a good game of Siege. It's going to be great fun. See you in 15 minutes. Oh, that was cool.
There we go.
I'll give him that. That was pretty cool. Because for 5 seconds before we came back, I was like, guys, there's no lights. Guys, there's no lights. And then bam, we get the nice zoom in. I dig it. They were also asking us to freestyle rap in the break, and Tim dropped the best, what can only be described as a potential future mixtape that you will never get to hear. Do you want to give us a small...
It's a one-time thing.
Oh, it's a shame. It could be like the Tenacious D with the whole tributes song, though. You heard the song, right? Where they're like,
yeah. It's not the song.
It's not the greatest song in the world. This is just a tribute.
Yeah.
Couldn't remember the greatest song in the world, no.
I'll work on that tonight.
This is a tribute. Oh, there's the beat again. It's back.
It's never to be repeated, does.
What's your rapper name? MC Pyrite?
I don't believe it or not. I don't have one. I'm nowhere near cool enough.
I'd call you MC Egghead, I think.
Right, we've got Elevate versus NIP. Map 1 is Chalet.
That got me. I knew I'd crack you at some point today. Go on, Tim. Talk about the game. Do your job.
We've got bans coming in.
Yes, we do.
I'm banning Des from speaking. We've got Yana is going to be the first ban taken out. Elevate moving, just taking away a couple of nades there. A little bit of intel as well, of course, in the shape of those Gemini decoys. But Ying will be the ban for NIP. No major surprises there. We've seen Ying's ban rate skyrocket over the last few months. I've banned you from speaking, so you're not going to speak now. Honestly, it's like it's constantly like working with a child with Des. Sometimes like there's a wasp in the room. Azami is going to be our first defensive.
What does that even mean?
Well, just that constant aggravation and agitation of having a wasp in the room.
I've seen you when there's a wasp in the room. It is anything but an agitation. It may as well be a life-threatening,
I'm cool.
Existential crisis.
I'm cool as a cucumber.
I don't know about that.
Azami and Solus are our final defender bans. The thing is, you joke, but there was a bit of like the hairs on my neck. There was a bit of me that was like, hang on.
My throat can't take this laughing anymore. Come on, Tim, I've got a dry cough. This is not good for me.
Contribute something to the game, what we're in. Preparation phase, going to be Elevate versus NIP. And let's not forget, this is the first of 3 maps that we're going to have here between these two. It is best of 3, and the loser will go home. You heard me right. NIP, former world champions, could be going home here and now, guys.
They're going home. It might be going home. We don't know yet. Right, okay, yeah, game face on. These are the twilight hours now. We're at 8 p.m. almost. Things get silly. Hopefully, this game is anything but silly. So, as you've seen, we had the map vetoes just before our break. We'd have a 15-minute break because we had to get a PC replaced. But in case you missed it, NIP peaked Chalet, Elevate went for Villa, and then Cafe is our decider if we have to get to it. And we're going to rehost. So why not, Tim? Let's just keep on talking some more rubbish.
We're going to have a little rehost.
A little cheeky rehost. We would love a little rehost.
Camps. We've got Chubbs and the NIP fellas there.
I love their jerseys.
They're very nice, aren't they? They are very.
I actually love the set design. Yeah, I walked through earlier on and I was like, man. Because
I do happen to have an NIP jersey.
Of course you do, mate.
I've got the 2021 SI winners.
I didn't ask, but okay.
Don't worry. Just thought I'd feed you that information.
Brilliant.
Got a Furia one as well.
Yep.
M&M.
Fantastic, yep. Got about 4 of those, mate.
Got a couple on the way.
Honestly, though, bless him. Calvin does not stop sending us those bloody jerseys. I've just been giving it to my missus like all the time. She's like, "Oh, wear it to bed now." I'm like, "Yeah, go for it."
They are very nice.
Yeah, okay.
NIP then. They've got a bounce back to make here. Took a tough loss against
Boing.
Six Karma, and they've got to work. It's one of them. They've now got 2 best of 3s that they've got to win. And the next one, if they win this, is either going to be against Six Karma, who've already beaten them, or SSG, who looked pretty good against Elevate. So NIP's route to potentially even getting into phase 2 is fraught with peril.
Oh,
at
yeah.
the minute.
You got to keep on winning your whole way through because, as you said, 3 games to win if you lose the first. Well, 2 to win, 3 overall to play if you lose out on that first one. So it is a bit of a challenge, and as we've already said, I think for these 2 teams being here, they're not really the kind of teams that you expect to see going home on day one. Like,
No, absolutely
if you had
not.
to pick one, I know most would probably look at NIP and say they should be beating Elevate. Like, Elevate of old, I think anyone would look at and say, actually, it's a pretty fair matchup there. We've seen what the likes of Onigiri can do, for example. He's no longer on the team, but then equally, Ape stepped up earlier on and really showed us what he could do. And Sudan as well, as we said, as coach, didn't play particularly bad either. So there is still hope for this team. It's, you know, it's hard hope against a team like NIP, but it is definitely doable.
Ape was great earlier. The one thing I would say, the one potential problem for Elevate is what happens if Ape doesn't come out and perform in the same way. You know, if he doesn't put those numbers down, could be an issue. Somebody's going to have to step up and fill that void because he was very, very good. And as we said, you know, a potential strategy for getting an advantage over NIP here is going to be playing to the clock a little bit, wasting a bit of time and just sort of slowing them down. And Ape out on the roam, we saw him do, you know, brilliant work in that last matchup, so he could be an important part of that. So his performance could be pivotal here. Certainly one for you to watch at home. Wizard as well, if you're wanting somebody on the NIP side to keep an eye on Wizard. Had one particularly big clutch moment in the game against Six Karma, but just was the last alive a couple of times, and every time I always thought he could do this. This is possible.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Wizard definitely one to watch out for.
I mean, it's not just Wizard, it's the whole squad. Everyone can be pretty scary.
There's danger in every corner of the NIP.
And just to stress as well, we are waiting on one more player and then we can get this lobby back underway. It was a quick rehost, and again, as a reminder, it is a best of 3. So, Tim, I know Fresh got it on his bingo card again. He hasn't changed it from the last time he had a bingo card. Overtime on map 3.
Overtime
with Des
you and I.
Yeah.
I mean, it's certain to happen at some point.
This is going to happen today. Because we kind of
Watch
swerve
the
a lot.
space.
We swerve the craziness because we don't cast the next couple of days. We cast again on Thursday.
We've got a couple of days off. We'll be here for the final day of Phase 1.
Do we do like one game on that day as well?
I'm not sure. Might be just one of the best.
I want to say it's 1 in the morning.
Yeah, because we're on the same pattern as because
the reverse of Blue and Lynx today.
They did one today. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah,
and Happen Emmy as well just did one today.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're back on day 4 of Phase 1.
So what crazy games have we got tomorrow?
Which groups are they? Yeah,
I'm just gonna take a quick look.
See what's going on. The thing is,
trying not to cough my brains out at the same time.
The thing is, with NIP, if they go out
What's the date today, Tim?
24th.
Correct. I do like a count on you to have the date ready.
Don't you worry about it. If NIP go out here, it'll be an upset. There's no two ways. You know, I think coming into this, people will have expected them to at least, you know, progress through to the next day of Phase 1, if you will. You know, they'd expect them to at least get that, you know, that best of 3 opportunity to qualify. So it will be a surprise. But what I will say is, I very much doubt it'll be the last of our surprises when we play our next 2 groups, which will be tomorrow. So today we've got
there they are.
We've got the graphic
production are on
there.
it.
So
Look at them.
on top of it, absolutely love the production team. Wonderful work today. Group B, we've got up in front of us there. Obviously, we've seen Group B and Group C, if I'm right, today with Sonic. So we'll be seeing the other 2 groups tomorrow, and we'll be going through the same process. So we'll play those first best of 1s, and then we'll start on the best of 3s. I think that's how we're doing it. I could be wrong. But yeah, there's definitely
elimination games are always the best of 3s. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. So. Sorry, I just hit my microphone then, as I was moving.
That is like a massive caster faux pas.
I know it is.
So, quick thoughts before we get back into the game.
We've got a pen in my hand, it threw all my measurements
We've got
off.
Sandbox versus Fury.
Okay.
Tomorrow, then we've got M&M versus Falcons in the same group.
As I said, it's the same process as today, just with the other groups.
M&M Falcons, banging game.
Good game, that.
And then down in Group D, we've got W7M versus Bliss. Bliss really want to cause an upset, obviously.
They've got a mountain to climb there.
Yeah, and then it's Wolves against Varel, which could be interesting.
I love seeing all the new teams. And there's absolutely...
It's a nightmare as a caster because of pronunciation, but outside of that, it's brilliant.
There's absolutely room for some more upsets, so make sure that you keep yourself glued to your screens for the next 2 weeks as the major plays out, but particularly Phase 1 is where you're going to see a lot of those upsets. We are, of course, just running the one stream setup this time, Des. Historically, we've had a setup of everything. You only need to catch it in one place. We're never going to make you choose between Game 1 and Game 2. You can watch absolutely everything.
I did hear that was a key focus of this major. It wasn't like, we're going to cut the B stream because of a budget or whatever. It came down purely to one, it's better for teams to have a lot more viewership, which is why everything is all here on one stream, so you can be excited about that. Righty, let's get into it. Finally, we are underway with this series between these two teams, and Healthcare is wasting no time looking to take away the health of the enemy team. Looking out for a cheeky little bit of a spawn peek here, but Wizard, though, oh, he's just got that sixth sense. He knows what's going on. He ain't falling for any of those tomfooleries.
No, absolutely not. And again, you know, we wouldn't expect it from a team like NIP to just be running into danger in round one like that. So good to see that they've got their wits about them. Psycho is going to be looking to push in towards main lobby, but he's going to be taken down. How about that, Des? Told you, managing to find Psycho at the main door with a headshot, and that already causes NIP a problem because the hard breacher is gone.
Ouch. Told you it took a bit of a time to warm into the series earlier on, but once he did come online, there were a good few rounds where he was a real kind of midfield demon, I'd call him. And when I say midfield, it sounds like a very weird way to describe players in Siege, but wasn't playing like a hard defensive role like an anchor, but equally wasn't playing as an out-and-out roamer. He was the midfield when it came round to the team. Now, this is a bit of difference because when you look back to the series against SSG earlier for Elevate as well, they were losing a lot of the entry battles against members of Space Station. So suddenly you're seeing NIP losing 3 players very early on, one to a different member as well on each side of Elevate. They're just falling down like Skittles here, Tim. There's only one left standing. It's Cons against 5.
And I think it's an important point to remember that this is NIP's map choice. I know it's only round one, but Elevate are coming out here looking good. They were on for a flawless round. It's not going to happen as Cons manages to find one, but he is going to take a little bit of damage. He knows that there's somebody on the opposite side of the mezzanine, but that's not what he needs to worry about. He needs to worry about the player moving up the main stairs. Going to finish that off. And what an opening round from Elevate. I'm going to repeat what I said at the beginning of this game, Des, and that is, I think this could be a closer matchup than many might think, given what we've seen from both teams today. And it's certainly looking like it could be after round one.
I mean, I'm looking at the replays of where his kills came from, just like, oh, that was a thing. Wrong region! What are you doing? Screaming that one across at NIP. I'll dig in for it every single day of the week. No, I'm with you. Like, the one thing that, coming into it, I did say earlier on, NIP 2-0 this I expect. You know, I think going into attacking Villa for Elevate is a very tall order, even if it is their map pick. And NIP, if they win this first map, which we expect they will, it will be a bit of a landslide. It will snowball away from them, and Elevate simply won't be able to keep up. But the one thing I've always said Elevate have over NIP is pace. They're just a much quicker team. They're willing to take more risks, it feels like, whereas NIP are very calculated, quite slow, often to their detriment as well. So I think if the pace is there for Elevate and they're able to even match NIP in gunfights, it could be their series for the taking. Again, on paper, it feels like it should be NIP 2-0, but I can very much see a world where it is not that 2-0, and instead it's Elevate walking away potentially with it on their side instead.
What I like about that first round for Elevate as well, if you think about where those kills came in, you know, none of them were around the site. And we were talking about this, wasting the time, getting out in the map, getting active. And they were hurting NIP at front door, library door, mezzanine. You know, this is where they were causing the problems. Outside gaming at the bottom of library stairs. They were just out and around in the map and burning as much time, taking gunfights all over the place. They're looking to do similar again. It's going to be bar and gaming this time as the defensive site for Elevate. That's their second choice. They've already been pushed away from Master and Office. Psycho's managed to move in quickly on the Ash. That's good progress from NIP. Speed again being an important factor that we need to keep an eye on. Ape just getting a little bit loosey-goosey there, heading himself out of the trench door, seeing if he could pick anybody up on the double window repel, but he won't find anybody there at the moment.
Right sort of idea. There is one sat in trench, but they're playing very passively. To the stage, I think even if he gets that door opened up, he's not going to be able to get out and find him in time. You can kind of see him stepping away here. Ape's thinking about it. Oh my God, no way does he get away with that. I'm pretty sure there's still a second inside a trench as well, but that should not be happening for free, boys. That should absolutely not be happening at this level.
Well, he's already had a look out of that door, and I'm pretty sure he was out long enough the first time around for it to at least flash up the detection message. You know, they might not have known exactly where that was, but it's got to give you the warning that there's the potential for a jump out coming. We are going to get Ape taken down in a very late trade there, but nonetheless, it will be a pickup for Muzi. We're going to have that Brava Clutch drone just racing around. If you've not seen this gadget before, it is the newest inside of Siege that we've got. Catch features Defender electronics. So you go in, it's like a little hacking gadget, and those electronics, such as a Capcan trap, will flip allegiance and start to work for the attackers rather than the defenders.
Which can make for some really interesting moments when you're hacking out yokai drones, for example.
Banshees.
Yeah, it's an absolute headache. Really, really interesting. And Capcan's always going to be the most hilarious thing that you can hack, I find. Here we go, though. Vertical control established by NIP. They are still down a player here as well, so even with all the work going on, they finally found that bulletproof, by the way. It's been there for the longest time, watching that clutch drone go up and down, and finally they've sort of found it and got rid of it. But NIP in their pace, as we've spoken about so many times, there's 30 seconds left, and only now were they starting to look to get inside a lobby. Psycho's left all alone. This feels very reminiscent of the last round, where there's 4 players all starting to converge onto the last man left alive. He can do nothing except walk into Tolji's extended, well, not extended barrel, but extended gun, I guess, and find himself taken down 2-0 very comfortably to kick things off for the side of Elevate.
Yeah, I love it. Got to be feeling pretty comfortable at the minute. Chalet, not a map that scares attackers usually, so if Elevate can get themselves a really good defensive half here, they might just fancy taking this one, and then they head on to their own map pick. I did ask questions about that Villa choice of Elevate, especially with the coach standing in. It just concerns me a little bit. It's a sort of very strat-heavy, very complicated map to play. You're going to be stretched thin, and you've got to have, you know, everybody on point, but still, with the way that things are going at the minute, this NIP side just not looking good at the minute.
I was about to say after that first gunfight, yeah, Sudan, he retired in 2020, but the guy can still gun. Then I've just seen him literally burn a whole mag trying to hit someone once at the top of mezzanine and not quite connect. I think barely a single shot onto his enemy either. But we spoke about him a little bit earlier on today, you know, didn't have a bad performance by any means. And just as a reminder, Sunan is normally this team's coach, but here he is stepping in as they couldn't get Barcode out here, I believe, had visa issues, unfortunately. But imagine if on your first day you managed to beat NIP. What a kind of statement that would be in it. I think a proud badge that you carry to the grave with you as a coach as well.
I think it's one of those
It's like you in that time and you beat 3 LATAM players on border, like 3 pro players, and you were like, not a big deal.
It wasn't border, it was stadium, but not a big thing.
Stadium. The border part of stadium.
Yeah, and it was me and cameraman. We went in, we got a few kills. It's not a big thing, Daz. Not a big thing at all. I don't like to bring it up, really. Moving into round 3.
Shut up.
Moving into round 3 we go. 2-0 Elevate, and I'm not sure many people will have had that one down as the way things were going to start here on Chalet. But Elevate just finding a groove, really, just in a comfort zone, you know, getting in there, winning gunfights. NIP not really challenging at the minute. You know, we've got to remind you, NIP, and, you know, if you've not been on top of every region and their qualification processes coming in here and who's got here how, NIP had to go through the last chance qualifiers. They didn't have a fantastic stage 1 over in the BR6, so they had to go through those last chance quals. They aced them. They won all 3 of their matches. They beat Black Dragons, MIBR, lost 1 in the final, just went on an absolute tear. But now they seem to be looking more towards their stage 1 performances, and that's going to be a big disappointment for them.
They're going to burn this towards the mirror window again. Oh, they've lost a second here. Oh, I mean, a good trade coming out the back of it. Told you's been the one that's sort of not played like direct entry, where he hasn't been super aggressive, but he's always been on the fringe, able to get involved if he really wanted to. Oh my God, Sunan, you lucky soul. Down to quite literally 1 HP. There's 2 kills come out of seemingly nowhere for Elevate. Just bouncing back onto Pino and Psycho, who, you know, again, probably spent 75 seconds there trying to get these 2 shot drones the entire length of the map, was looking for the mirror windows, but ended coming up empty-handed. The only benefit here for NIP is the combo work between Psycho and Muzi has helped them find out those vault cams, but they've lost 2 members for the privilege.
They have, and the problem here is NIP need to get top floor control. They're attacking onto dining and kitchen, but they can't have to play into those verticals. Wizard, he's going to take an absolute lungful of that death. Look, about 60 HP went by the wayside then as he moved through the Toxic Babe canister, but he didn't want to drop that ADS because he had a sixth sense that he was going to be challenged there, but it just never came, and he took a lot of damage in doing so. Now, it looks like NIP have got themselves that top floor control I was speaking about, so they can at least start working the verticals a little bit, but they are limited in utility to open that up. They've got 1 more explosive charge in the hands of Wizard, which can be used, but otherwise they're going to have to work with what they've got.
It's time, Tim, again. I'll always come back to it, but 25 seconds and they're going to go for a Hail Mary drop as they have another smoke canister come out to this hatch as well.
Great smoke play.
There's just so much time and they're trying to go for a retake here. Good read by Wizard coming out as Muzi gets another. similar. It's Sunan really on 1 HP. He won't be able to do too much, but off the back of that, they've almost done it. Sunan's got to win a 1 versus 1 here against Wizard, but he can just run for the mountains if he really wants to. Going to try and make this plan happen. He's going to have to stick it, but can Sunan... Oh, no way! Wizard, what a read! Here's the footsteps, pulls off and wins the round for NIP.
So difficult for Sunan to judge that there. There's information obviously coming through to him, whether he can hear it from his position or whether there's a little bit of utility in sight maybe that's feeding that in to say, he's getting the diffuser down, you need to move. He goes in there running, maybe if he's in his ADS he has more of a chance, but you know, at the end of the day, this is the coach that's trying to get the job done, and Wizard just knows exactly where he's coming from, manages to play him out, and that's going to be a round for NIP. But we talk about time, we've said it a million times already, it was down to the final second. NIP can't rely on that, they have to speed up.
Down to the last couple of 100 milliseconds there as well. If you missed even, you know, maybe 2 of those shots, well, only had to hit 1, admittedly. Sunan was on 1 HP, but in a different timeline.
If Sunan had put the brakes on before getting to the door, his movement had been enough to pull Wizard off the plant. If he'd just put the brakes on and not gone in, he wins that.
That's what you're going to pick up from being in those kind of situations a million and one times over there, right? You can't always ask for perfection. Still, really good attempts, and finally, at least, NIP are on the board with a pretty spicy comp here, Tim. We've got the Amaru coming along, we've got the Sens on side, the Nook as well. Lots to play with, but it's got to survive the early aggression coming out of Elevate. Ape once again up at a window.
Well, they've been looking for this at the start of every round, whether it's Healthcare or Ape. They've been, as you say, right up at those windows, looking to get that early advantage over NIP. It sort of worked for them when they got Psycho on the main door. It wasn't really a peek at a window, but it was a really good first pickup, taking, in that case, the hard breach off the board and really helped propel them towards winning that round. But they haven't found anybody in the early stages this time, so that's at least step 1 done for NIP. They've got themselves in a position where they can think about getting inside of the map without having lost anybody.
Yeah, they should be able to just march their way forwards. They've got the downstairs control. They've got themselves control of Trophy. All they really need to get control here, pushing towards West Main and start, well, working their way upwards, I guess. For now, it's more like they're trying to bait out a potential push coming in, some kind of expected aggression. But Elevate are just not biting.
No, not at all, and I like that from Elevate. Again, it's that time, you know, playing for every second they can get. Don't give them the engagements, don't peek them, don't give them what they want. Force them to come into the building, force them to do the work. You know, they know there's somebody on West Main stairs. That's nice team play coming out. It's Pino who's going to pick up the kill onto RP, but he's wasted nearly half of the round. Time will tell if that will be enough or not.
A really good read onto the strategy there for Elevate too. You know, aggression on towards West Main, put pressure onto the player. He's going to flee down through base, but they had the Nook there ready and waiting. So good team play, as you say, coming out from NIP. It only finds them 1 though, and they've invested over half the round in making that play happen. It's not to say that you can't win things in the last 30 seconds. We've already seen them do it once, but you are really increasing the impact that mistakes start to have on the team when you leave it that late.
Trying for those vertical nades. Pino on the knock, not going to find his mark. Going to need a little bit more information. Not going to find another one as he tries again, and he's not going to have any success this time. Psycho is working that double window whilst the rest of his teammates work over Elevate at the minute. Going in, getting kill after kill, leaving themselves 5 versus 2. And Des, this is dangerous for Elevate because it looks like NIP are starting to wake up, but there come Elevate. 2 kills returned.
I mean, the 2's enough to give them a little bit of breathing room, but you still got 30 seconds to play with. I almost feel Elevate here have tried to get in knowing they've got to find a numbers advantage, and have paid the price for it along the journey. Now, Cons isn't going for a plant. They should have the cover they need to make this work out, and there we go. Pino holding a good spot, told you into a second, but we've seen him do this so many times. Looks so close, but can't win the 1v1. Cons with the closeout, and NIP are in a good spot. If Cons had lost there, that would have been really, really bad, because the last player was on the double window repel. He has to repel in to try and stop this diffuse coming off, where Told You would have had a brilliant position to get the diffuse off. So it was lucky, really, that Cons came away with that win.
Yeah, 100%. He had to find that one. If Told You manages to win that fight, and Told You had every advantage, really. He saw Cons from around the corner, so he knows exactly where he is, and he can go in there pre-firing. But he just manages, the NIP man, and just manages to do enough with his movement to prevent him losing his life. As you can see, he dips back, he ducks down, and it's that crouch that wins him that fight, really. It just changes his silhouette, changes his shape, and it means that he can land those first few crucial shots onto Told Tolji, but Elevate, they're still looking good, but NIP definitely managed. I won't quite go as far as found another gear yet, but they've at least found the accelerator and got themselves some momentum going.
That's it. It feels like they've just pushed just slightly past Elevate here. Not enough that they can't be caught, but Elevate now have got to be the ones to adapt and change a little bit. We had a good first couple of rounds. Now that NIP have sort of figured, all right, then we're going to see a lot of Valkyrie. We know there's going to be a lot of Frost. They know what to do to be able to deal with that. This round will be quite an interesting one because we've still got Tolji on the Valk, but there's no IQ on side this time. That was their big response back in round 3 to be able to get their way back into this game, was saying, okay, look, let's sacrifice some more desirable pick. Let's bring the IQ and use that to get rid of these Valk camps. So here, it's going to be down to the drones getting in and doing a little bit of work. I do like for Psycho, by the way. I think he's played all 3 drone operators so far. We've seen him on the Bravo, the Twitch, and now the Flores.
All bringing very unique characteristics and abilities to the field for NIP. This time Psycho going to have those Rotero drones. We'll be able to take down utility, but also open soft walls. So it might well just be of use for clearing out areas like the top of Blue Stairs, opening up that wall from mezzanine through into library, and just making life difficult for those defenders who want to play in those positions. Interestingly, Elevate, look, there's like they've only really got 2 players up on that top floor. The Valkyrie just moving down to the bottom of main stairs, and just needs to be careful that Tolji doesn't give his life away here, because as I often say, these 3 players, top blue, library and mezzanine, if one goes, they usually all go.
That's it. Well, the shield's been taken off on the top floor, and they're actually working their way through basement here. So I like how, for Elevate, they've rotated a couple of players down. They said, okay, you know, let's go and try and match them. Ape there looks away at just the wrong second, feeling a little bit too comfortable and almost paying for it with his life.
He knew that somebody was out there. The tracers had fired and flashed across in front of him, but just couldn't find his angle when it mattered. Rotero drone just trying to dislodge Healthcare. Not going to do the job, but the dislodging comes from Cons onto Tolji as he manages to take down that player who was on main stairs and mezzanine. That makes Healthcare's position even more dangerous. More utility going in here. And that's not a good throw from Psycho. He's going to flash himself.
And
that's
teammate.
not ideal for the push coming in onto Healthcare, who has burnt a lot of time and a lot of utility in that position, and escapes with his life.
I think after you've had 3, 4 grenades thrown at you, you know exactly what's going to follow next. They have to commit and capitalize on the back of those flashes. Here we go with them now taking control of library finally, but Healthcare, as we all know, is away safe and sound. Definitely not the worst outcome. They are still down without Tolji, of course, but NIP have got 45 seconds to work with.
Going to have to use that verticality that they have found now. They've got the sledge upstairs. They need to make sure that they're not flanked. There's no excuse for that. Wizard is on the Nomad. The staircases should have been dealt with. Psycho moves just downstairs, finds himself one, heads back up to the top. And right now, Elevate find themselves in a position of having to hold on. RP's down in the basement. Can't really be too much use from there. And his low health Speakeasy does manage to down one, but doesn't matter as he exposes himself to that vertical angle. Pino right there, right place, right time, gets his man, and Cons, he's going to be putting the diffuser down, but there's not going to be an opportunity for RP to stop that, and surely this is a matter of time until NIP find the last man. He comes in, takes down the down Psycho, and then it is now 3 versus 1.
There we go. Good close up by Muzi as well. Soon on the left, one less standing, being pushed from 2 angles at once. Not much that he can do. NIP have awoken with now 3 rounds in a row on the board.
Probably a little bit more of what we expected out of this Chalet matchup, with NIP really getting themselves back into things, doing much, much better. And you expect them really now to take the advantage on the half, moving on to the defence. That's going to make things tough for Elevate, really. You know, when I'm looking at players like Ape, and we've said how well he's played, I feel a lot of that strength has been on the defence, and so they need to find that momentum on attack somehow as well.
Alrighty, kitchen dining. Let's see if Elevate can make it work now. Had to rotate through a few different sites, see if they can really figure out a way to get things moving here. Sunan once again stepping back across the playing on the Mark 14. We caught this quite a bit in the game earlier on today, and in a way it felt like a cute nod back towards the Onigiri days, known as the Mark 14 Demon, really playing both the Aruni and the Decavi almost exclusively. And my God, doing some work. I think it was 27 kills he hit in the one map playing that.
Yep.
When was that? Was that last SI? Not the one just gone, the one before?
One before, I think. 22.
Yeah, I think it was. Impressive performance either way, and again, that's kind of been a big story for this team is, without your star player, can you still shine anywhere near as brightly? Obviously, with how this game's now starting to trend, you start to feel like maybe no is the answer, but change happens all the time, and sure, there's one or two players on this team, Ape and Tolji, especially today so far, really impressing in my view.
Yeah, they've been great. They've been fantastic to watch. If they do exit the tournament here and now, if NIP win this best of three, it'd be a real shame not to see more of those two players. And they're certainly two players that I'll be looking forward to seeing, you know, more of in the future, which I'm sure we will do, because you know, they have been very, very good so far. So looking towards round 6, then it's going to be the final defence for Elevate. This time we're down in dining once again. We saw this back in round 3. It was a NIP win. It was actually the start of the NIP wins, the first of their 3 rounds that they've taken back-to-back. And NIP are making relatively quick progress here. They're getting that office wall open, which is going to prevent some of the vertical hold that Elevate will try to keep for as long as possible, force them back to site. And we actually saw NIP do some good work from above, but it did come down to that final 1v1 last time. NIP won't want it that close again.
Absolutely not, no. Psycho straight here inside of office as well to start getting this top 4 exposed. Quite interestingly, because we're normally used to seeing the focus coming towards mezzanine. You open up, for example, the double wall there and then look to move your way through. Whereas here what actually happened was, because they were so dug back, they almost tried to kind of bait NIP, I'd say, in a way, into trying to go a little bit deeper. That's exactly what's had to happen, though, is they've gone direct towards sites. They forget about the double wall. We'll chuck one of our Salmons on there for good measure to make sure it is open, but the other two have gone straight on towards that double reinforced wall between the master and the office rooms, and that has now forced the members of Elevate back. So, although for NIP, again, it's taken a long time, it's still the right idea that has given them the top floor control they need to start thinking about the site. And I think what I like the most, 75 seconds to play with, full control upstairs, and we can make another hatch drop work if we really have to.
The problem that they've got at the minute, Des, is they've no way of opening that hatch. That's going to be an issue for them. The hatch was reinforced, and there is no hard breach available for them, as Psycho has used all 3 Selmas by trying to get that very same top floor control. As it is, we're going to have Healthcare coming under immediate pressure there. Cons does manage to find him as he was in the reload animation at the time. Cons is going to find himself down, but Muzi manages to take out Speakeasy, and a second for him as he picks up Harpe. 1 versus 4, it's all up to Sunan. How many times have we said that, Des? The coach seems to be continuously the last alive. Can he do it this time? Absolutely not, as Psycho shuts him down on a tight angle, and NIP, after a shaky start, close out that half 4-2.
I think it was just really smart from NIP too. They basically boxed in Elevate there. Once they forced them off the top floor, they had players looking in towards Trophy, in towards West Main. They flooded in towards the site, so Elevate were kind of boxed in. They had, what, Astro Stairs to work with, Solar Stairs to work with, a little bit of wiggle room inside of Trophy, and that was really it. They didn't control enough of the map for what they were looking to achieve, didn't try to do so aggressively enough, and NIP just completely cut them off at the source as soon as it tried to get back. So although it was slow, it was really well calculated from NIP. Really enjoyed what I saw in that round. Now we get to switch sides, and NIP get to show us how they play on the defensive side. Knowing how the game went for Elevate earlier against SSG, the defensive side of Oregon was absolute. Attackers had no real joy. Not nervous, but a little bit conscious of how this might go if they don't start off strongly on the attacking side.
I would agree. I think this is going to be a difficult half for Elevate. Obviously, NIP chose the map, so Elevate chose to defend first, which would suggest that maybe attacking they're not seeing as their strength here on Chalet. It is NIP's map pick as well. Defense on your own map pick. You've got to have some good setups. You've got to be, you know, ready to go. And I think NIP will be well prepared. They're always a team and organisation that have, you know, focused on being prepared.
Get the strap books out, boys, doing SSG.
They've always been a team that prepares very, very well for things. So, yeah, I think this is going to be tough for Elevate.
Still, Siege has become quite fluid, I'd say, in the last, like, year or so. The balance changes that came in. And it starts, I mean, okay. Don't think he was expecting Ape to be so close so soon. The Psycho pays the price. And this is sort of what we spoke about when it came around to speed. And that flexibility of being able to identify, all right, there's a player hanging here, let's make sure we can pinch onto him together. You can't really throw that into a strap book, I'm afraid.
You can't. Ape's going to throw Pino to the wayside there as he manages to pick up another kill, even as 5 versus 3. And, you know, forget what I was saying about Elevate. They've come out with a very strong start on the attack here, a little bit surprisingly. They are certainly not done with Chalet yet, and giving themselves a good advantage here. And they've plenty of time as well. 1 minute 50 left. left to go. They've got a good bit of map control. You know, they can really start working NIP over now. But what a couple of important kills that come in there. Cons and Wizard managed to find one apiece, but Told you with a late trade to keep that advantage for Elevate.
He's been a bit of a shining star in the midfield, like I keep on saying today, not just in this game, but also in the one earlier on against SSG, although it started as a 6-0 deficit. He really helped them bounce back. Bit of a 2v1 coming in, and Tolji just decimates them both. Great round coming out once again.
Told you, just stood inside of sight, basically.
Yeah.
Just stood inside of sight and picked up those final 3 kills. And that really is, you know, just Elevate seeing an opportunity and taking it. And it's, you know, something we've seen from them as a team before. Obviously, the roster, you know, has gone through significant changes, but we tend to see these trends remain with teams. And it's certainly one that Elevate are bringing to the table once again.
Ooh, okay. One round of keeping things nice and square. Do we dare dream of an overtime, Tim, in our first best of 3?
I mean, it's all.
I know we were joking about the map 3 best of 3 at some point, but first map, get things started out the right way.
Almost certainly.
Definitely go that way. Now, I always say this every time I see the operator picked, but Psycho on the right-hand side of your screen, Castle. Really enjoy seeing Castle picks because Castle is, like Mira, like Azami, what many would call an architect. Helps you completely transform the way that you play sites or play the map in general by changing the sight lines that are exposed, like reinforcing areas that otherwise you can't. That's really what you're looking towards the Castle to be able to do with the 4 Castle barricades that are normally in back pocket, but all 4 have been deployed here. So it normally indicates that teams are going to try something a little bit different or just try to funnel the attackers in some way. Normally when there's things like a sledge on side, it's far from the end of the world, can just smash through those castle barricades. But I think today already, we haven't seen anywhere near as much sledge as we're used to seeing in the game.
Pino just opening up some angles as well with the Valkyrie there. Valkyrie left available, obviously very valuable up, lot of intel, but the Brava being brought along will be a reasonable counter if they can find those black eye cameras. And obviously they are a little bit trickier than the normal defaults, which is what the Clutch drone is going after at the moment.
Remember when this operator first got like teased and we all saw the massive robotic arm that you can see on the right side of the stream when Brava is on her Clutch drone? People were like, wow, is that going to fire like rockets or something? It's like, no, it's going to hack electrics. It's a bit of a tank, isn't it? Even the way it like clutches along sounds pretty impressive. Maybe
you've touched on where the name came from, Des.
I'm pretty sure it's a regional thing. It's a local name.
You're just going to twist.
It is also one of the
sound that it makes.
It's also one of the, you know, the worst kind. It's like saying the word moist. It doesn't feel nice to say that clutch. It just sounds dirty, like I'm talking about like sewage or something. It's horrible.
I mean, it's horrible when it hacks those gadgets and you're a defender and you start running into a cap.
I'm going to keep on whispering clutch at you all week now until you get sick and tired of the word as well. And then we'll go back to calling it a Brava draw and the world will be a better place.
Here we go then. We're coming into the second half of this round. Still 5 versus 5. No early pickup yet for Elevate. Something that they need to be cautious of. You know, just as we say for NIP, they don't want to let that time run away from them. Still trying to take control. I think they're confident now that they've got mezzanine and main lobby locked down, so they can start thinking about breaching that wall. And RP, he's going to breach the lines as he finds a kill.
Look at this.
Onto Psycho, leaving us 5 versus 4. It's going to be a freebie for Wizard though. Gets one, can he find a second? Absolutely not, but the pressure is really mounting inside of sight.
But he's playing this so well, Wizard. Keeps on double checking back in case he's getting pressed from on the balcony. But, oh, I was going to say, we need to stop cursing players, Tim. Let's just not cast anymore, because every time we've spoken about something like this today, it goes horribly wrong.
Going to see the diffuser going down. Tolji's got it in hand. Pino is down but not out as well. Kills keep raining. Speakeasy! He was the man who downed the player inside of the site, so it leaves a triple on the board for him to close out the round. Tolji without the time to secure that diffuser plant before Elevate level things up 4-4.
Uh-oh. Alarm bells for NIP. At one point, do we see a tactical timeout called out by the team as well, by the way? We haven't seen it used in the map so far. Teams do get one per map, each. So when they do want to have their coach intervene, have a conversation with them for 45 seconds, that normally proves to be a good time. And in case you're curious about when those tend to get called, normally it is the coach that's listening in and spots something that, you know, the IGL can't fix. Often what you'll see is a coach and an IGL be working together on running the team, right? And if a coach feels that an IGL can't bring a situation back under control, maybe certain players aren't coming particularly well, maybe there's a real clear, obvious strategical error that is being made time and time again, that's when a coach can get involved. And other times it's just to give the team a breather when they realise, okay, the pressure's quite high here, let's try and slow things down. So you might see it get pulled out in the next couple of rounds as we build up towards the apex of this next, or of this map at least.
Going to be kitchen and dining that NIP go to this time around. We haven't seen them defend it yet, but we are yet to see them successfully defend any site. So why not mix it up? Why not go somewhere else? I might have expected better from NIP on the defence. As I said at the beginning of this defensive half, it's their map choice. We expect them to be coming in here with a strap book ready to go, setups that they are comfortable with and confident on. And at the minute, Elevate are looking pretty good on the attack and like they might be difficult to stop. Look how quick Ape is inside the map here. 30 seconds gone, and he's already opening up lines of sight with Buck and looking to make challenges.
Is that major difference between the two teams as well? Again, go back to the first half, and Psycho was playing a drone op every single round. Sometimes they were bringing IQ to support hunting down Valkyrie cams. The change in playstyle between the two teams, where for Elevate, it's quick map control, get in there, start putting on pressure early. For NIP, it was clearing out utility, collecting information. Two very different approaches to the game, neither particularly wrong or one being better than the other. There are obviously pros and cons to both approaches, but it's just interesting seeing two such different styles coming head-to-head on the same map.
That is good progress from Elevate. Getting the wall open there from main lobby gives access to the plant spot that they would likely be looking for.
I think that sense hall got jammed, right?
Yes.
There's a jammer just next to the hole. Is it that got jammed out? I missed it. I'm not quite sure. They destroyed it.
This is it. They're now working. They're now working the long angles. We can see. Told you there. He's just trying to see deep into sight where he can, but having taken a bit of damage there. Gonna have the Sense drone go out this time. Sorry, the Sense jam. There we go. The light wall goes up in behind the smoke as well. But look at that. Psycho having absolutely none of it. Pre-fires across, knows that the man's likely to come in through the door and just showing great map knowledge there. But he's going to be challenged 1-for-1 here. They've no idea where he's playing. And Psycho gets another onto Speakeasy.
A real nice attempt coming out of the attackers here, but it feels like NOP have got a pretty good read. 2 down, Healthcare on basically no HP. Ape looking pretty low too, and Healthcare's hoping to catch out Psycho, the assailant here that's done so much work. Oh, but he almost finds him. A pixel or two across, and he would have found his man. Wizard, though, working a bit of magic, moves he into another. It's Ape all by himself against 4. It feels like NIP finally have got themselves back on 2 feet, and they get around on the board for the first time in 3 rounds.
It's really back and forward, this game. It doesn't, as I said, close matchup. We expected it, and it's exactly what is being delivered. And honestly, it just looks like there's a bit of fatigue, a bit of frustration. I don't know what it is showing on the faces of the NIP players at the moment, but very sullen across the player cams there. And it just goes to show, I think, the pressure that they maybe feel under from this Elevate side.
And probably the day overall, I really doubt they imagine being a team that would be staring down the barrel of elimination on day 1 of the competition. Yeah. You just give yourself a lot more work to do that they have to play again, of course, in the next couple of days to really fight and push for a chance to still stay in the tournament. Here we go on the downstairs, though, Tim. We love seeing interesting holds on this site, and by the looks of it, we've got one coming out because there is an extension in towards Trench with the shield. We've seen a few teams pull this off, and it's very similar to how you might play Elbowed and downstairs of Oregon, for example. The idea being that inside a trench, you play a smoke there, and you're able to smoke off the trench door itself. As soon as things start getting a little bit hot, ironically, around Boiler, you drop down another smoke, you back away inside a site, you reinforce the wall, and all is good from there. But even here on this double wall, you seeing part of it being left soft to challenge in towards Garage. This is a really aggressive hold by NIP that I'm really curious to see if Elevate either say, you know what, we'll tackle this head on, or if they'll ignore it and try and attack site from a different direction.
Into the action phase we go. Told you once again on that thermite, all important. They're going to look to open the main breach wall. I think the drone goes in, just says yes, it's clear. There's not going to be any denial played there, so that is the wall open within 25 seconds. Told you, immediately leaving the area. I think he's probably going to move around to the rear and then going to be looking to clear these players out. They want access from the car garage side as well. That is just a little bit of phantom pressure there. It just means that the defenders have to be particularly cautious of exactly where they're moving around inside of sight. But it's going to be the rest of the map that's important for NIP here as well. They don't just want to hold on to trench. They need to make sure that they're keeping hold of that vertical.
I mean, almost in a way, the reverse. NIP are the ones used to playing with things like the Flores, but here a little bit of a change in. Drones are flying in through this doorway as well, and it looks like Cons is just so ready. Could pop this boil canister and get out of dodge if he really wants to, reinforce the wall up. For now, wants to waste as much time as possible, but Elevate are forcing through all this utility. You know, inside the first 75 seconds, it's been a good start from the aggressors.
Yeah, it really has. Gonna have Cons just still holding on to trench, hasn't been moved yet. That's a problem for Elevate and one that they're gonna need to deal with, and that's exactly why, because he's able to get aggressive, manages to find the kill onto Tolji, and that is the thermite taken out. Speakeasy taking damage, and it's gonna be another one for Cons. Yes, it is Healthcare, manages to find Psycho, keeps it at least reasonably level in a 4 versus 3 here. 1 minute 15 to go. We hear the E1D scanner, which means that the push is likely to come, but moves it. He's ready. He finds a headshot. RP with the kill onto Wizard, and it's another round that goes back and forward. Des.
How on earth has Pino got himself in a 1v2? Sunan and Ape have almost pulled this all the way back. 60 seconds still to play, and if Pino can just find one and turn this into a 1 versus 1, that's the dream, and he's done just that. Planet is going down though behind this overlay that we've got. Now they're going to be able to get out of dodge. Sunan has dodged away and forces himself into yet another 1 versus 1.
Not an easy situation. He's against one of the best clutch players that the game has ever seen realistically in Pino, and it is not going to be a walk in the park. Pino's going to go in, start on that diffuser, but he's just looking for the bait. He's going to prevent the movement coming in through that door. Does he push Sunan here? I don't think he knows that he's hard right. Yes, he does! Goes in with a beautiful pre-fire, takes the head off Sunan, who this time learns his lesson from his attempt earlier. Waits and waits, but waits too long, and it just shows how difficult a balance that situation is to find. And Pino, he's able to disable the diffuser, and that is now a good advantage for NIP as they move on to map point.
And this is no slight onto Sunan as well, but Pino needs to be winning that gunfight in 90% of situations, and thankfully he does. I've got to give it to Konzo. I really thought we'd see the team hold on to a reinforcement, but looking at the top right corner of your screen at the minute, there are no reinforcements left. They've used every single one, so they were hard committed to keeping this site wide open and looking to challenge super aggressively into the members of Elevate as they came in for the push. The fact that Elevate managed to get control the way they did and get the plant down already is a pretty big shout. You see Sunan there knew that he was pretty close to winning it over for his team, so a high-risk play, but one that Cons clearly is very comfortable playing in. Did so much work around that trench door.
Here we go then, could be the last round as NIP seem to have found their stride here on defense as we expected them, certainly putting in a better performance over the last couple of rounds, get themselves onto map point, and they're going to be going to bar and gaming. This is to keep hold of their own map choice and push things on to Villa, where Elevate will then not have a choice. It will be win or go home, simple as that. We're going to have an interesting little device thrown out there. It's going to be the proximity alarm that's sent out, and that's just going to give the signal if anybody is trying to push onto that office door.
Never a bad shout, honestly. We saw Wizard playing around that half-wall position so many times and, you know, doing it without really too much information, but being able to dance back and forth and just keep Elevate busy for the longest of times. A little bit of assistance is not going to go too far amiss. Arpe now trying to more find out exactly what's going on around the map too. So this is actually kind of reminiscent of what we saw from NIP in the first half as well, taking things a lot slower. No one is inside the building, for example, after 40 seconds. They've got the Decabi on side. 4 players are on drones. They've got the EE1Ds. They've got Twitch drones, Flores drones. Everything just screams information in this lineup for Elevate, which does mean you have to go a little bit slower.
You certainly do. You need to find the information before you can use it, essentially. Ape is going to move across there, spot his man, see as he goes back down blue stairs. I think they've got a good idea. He didn't actually see it happen, but that will be the assumption, no doubt. But it doesn't matter for Muzi. He was just there to waste a bit of time, just provide a little presence out there. But Wizard, as he tries to get out of that window, he's going to get punished by Sunan, and this is not great for NIP, Des. This is a round that they just wanted to win, get this done, but they've lost the shield on Mezzanine. They've lost Wizard inside a library, and it's up to Psycho and Muzi to hold on for as long as they can.
It was a good attempt from Wizard, I think, but Sunan just a little bit too sharp to the craziness. And even Psycho here, still trying to keep the challenge alive on towards this window and not concede library control. But Ape's walked inside of the site here. Found himself one, looking in for a second. Not going to find himself flashed out either, but control is theirs. They're down to a 1 versus 5, and Muzi has got it all to do. He's posted at the top of library stairs. This one feels like it's done and dusted already, unless he can work some absolute magic. Flash is not quite connecting. Knows that he's going to be challenged on the upstairs here as he gets full white screen, and Speakeasy completes the plan.
Surely a matter of time. There we go. Tolji steps in, pre-fires. They knew exactly where Muzi was, able to get that final kill, and that leaves Elevate with another round to play. We could be going all the way here, Des. We've certainly got the 12 rounds of regulation now as we find ourselves 6-5, and Elevate, I'm sure, you know, they're performing as well as they could have hoped to, realistically. They've got the standing soon and doing well there, alive, alert to the danger of Wizard coming out of the window, picks up his kill, and I like what I'm seeing from them so far.
Truthfully, I like what I've seen from both teams.
Yeah.
I think across the whole map,
it's been a great game so far.
It has, yeah. It's been really good. It's been competitive between the two sides. It's not been overly one-sided. Maybe it looked it a little bit in the first half once NIP got rolling. You know, they were down 2-0 and then won 4 back-to-back, and I thought, oh man, they've woken up. This is screwed. But Elevate have kept things competitive. Now they've got one more chance to force us into overtime here. Otherwise, NIP wins 7-5, and that is going to be a heartbreaking defeat for Elevate, knowing that again, it's not their map pick, but they were so close to giving themselves the best shot possible at getting that overall win on it.
Yeah, I think it'll be a tough one to take. You know, if we're honest, they've come so close. You get to a point where you could look at it coming in and think, you know, would Elevate really have come in here saying, yeah, we're going to beat NIP on their own map? You know, surely if you get this one done, it's a bonus. But there comes a point when you get yourself to 4-4, 6-5, you start thinking this is doable. And then that disappointment creeps in if you don't manage to get it over the line. So we'll see what sort of impact that might have. But I tell you what, there's 3 minutes before we get to that point, because NIP have actually got to win this. We can't talk in terms as if they already have, because Elevate have shown us over and over and over again so far that they are able to keep fighting. They're able to find the way to get these rounds won.
All right. Well, no mad charges in, but at least a little bit more pace compared to last round. No Twitch on side, just the Flores really looking at here alongside the Lion does mean there is less of an emphasis on the intel game and much more on getting stuff done. Looking mainly towards those frag grenades on the back pockets to Speakeasy, for example. Those have got to be sent the right way. There's only a Wamai on the other side really to hold things back too. They've got some flashes to support to burn through the magnets. So those could be a bit of a difference maker if they get them into the right place. Already Elevate starting all their focus here on this west side balcony. Piano control, bathroom control. Might even find a freebie, but no, it's Wizard to strike first again.
Wizard just really helping NIP put the best foot forward there, finds the headshot onto RP. Healthcare is going to be pushing that bathroom window, needs to be careful because it's being watched. Almost manages to find the head of the Wamai of Wizard, but no, unable to, and Wizard is going to drop himself away over those solarium stairs, push down, but Pino manages to find one. Healthcare, Muzi, they're finding one apiece, 4 versus 2. It's falling apart quickly here for Elevate. It's a 1 versus 3. It's shut down by Psycho, and that is going to be NIP taking their own map choice on Chalet and going 1-0 in this best of 3.
Ooh, I think we need a quick breather after that one, Tim. Back in 30 seconds. welcome back to the Copenhagen Major, where we are partway through a wonderful series between Elevate and NIP. NIP winning 7 and 5. Elevate almost battling their way back in and showing, Tim, that we might have that famous thing on our hands.
We could have a map 3.
No.
Oh.
What do Cassis always have on their hands, Tim?
Map 2.
No. What do they have on their hands, Tim?
I'm joking. It's overtime, Des.
Not that either, Tim. What do Cassis always say they have on their hand, Tim?
Again.
Yes. Thank you. Wasn't that hard, was it?
Apparently it was.
Anyway, we're getting into game in just a minute. Promise. Teams are loaded in. No PC replacements. Oh, I've jinxed it now, haven't I? Let's hope not either way. Here's a few highlights for you to go through before we do get in towards Villa, though. What was your general summary of either team on that map, Tim?
Unpredictability from NIP would be my summary for them. They had great spells and pretty poor spells, really.
Well, they did have a wizard, just clearly not a very good one.
You know, there was a couple of rounds where mistakes were made. Elevate were able to really capitalise on them. Elevate again surprising us, you know, and I love that. I love to be surprised by these teams coming in on NIP's map choice. They're able to take away 5 rounds, almost push us into overtime. You know, it was a real battle when we didn't think that maybe it would be. Lots of players had standout moments. I'm just really looking forward to map 2.
You're looking forward to every map, Tim?
You know me, I just love Siege.
You do? Oh, we all do, otherwise we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be watching. No, I'm with you. I think it was really cool in terms of the difference in approach that we saw by both teams as well. It was something I touched on during the cast, but for NIP, a very drone and information-heavy, very slow style of attacking. Yes. Elevate, generally much more pacey. And, you know, I think sadly in a way for Suna on a couple of 1v1s or 1v2s that simply did not go his way. Could have really gone to overtime, could have even gone the way of Elevate, which is why it makes this Villa map we're going into now so interesting. Not forgetting, of course, that with it being the map pick of Elevate, NIP, as you'd expect, have chosen to start on the defensive side.
Yeah. I mean, historically, looking back over the last couple of years, Villa's a map that NIP haven't been terrible on. You know, I've seen some very good performances from them. I'm talking, you know, back in Julio days. Julio used to dominate piano. He'd get down there.
Back when you still had hair.
Nitro, all sorts of stuff was going on. But yeah, it's certainly a map that they know their way around. I would expect that to be pretty much the same. I don't know if Elevate, my concern for Elevate here is that they've, as I said towards the end of that last map, they've poured everything into that and they've really done fantastically well to get themselves through to the position they did. And I'm not saying this is going to happen or I think it's going to happen. My concern is that they come into this a little bit sort of fatigued and NIP start to run away with it and it becomes a 7-2, 7-3. Hopefully not. You know, it's Elevate's map choice. They can just go again. We try, you know, and I think, you know, there's maybe something for them to find.
I'd hope so. I'll go back to, again, what we said at the very start. I just think with it being the attacking side of Villa, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle, even as your own map pick. That's my main concern for it.
They can't let the first half get out of hand.
No.
They have to get in there and have at least a 3-3. To my mind, at least. You know, NIP, if they on the defence can go 5-1, you know, I think at that point it's probably over. Although, you could have said that about SSG and Elevate still gave them
crazier
a bit of a
things
scare.
have happened. Yeah, no, exactly. Maybe it's like they're playing the long game. They're trying to get us to kind of, you know, believe in NIP in map 1. So we believed in SSG in the first half, and then spin it round in the second and have us going, we didn't mean that, really. We were on their side the whole time. We love the underdogs. I mean, that's what we often say, to be fair.
Well, you know, you've got to remember there's 2 things going on here. We say what we think may happen, but we've also got stuff that we'd quite like to happen. And I'd love to see Elevate take us to map 3. I will say that.
Is that because you really like Cafe or because you're just dying for a map 3?
I'm just dying for map 3 and I enjoy watching Elevate. They've been a really entertaining team to watch today. I've really enjoyed watching them.
I've enjoyed it across most of the teams. I mean, let's not lie. Like, you know, there's obviously a massive variety of teams that are here. Some clearly far more developed than other ones are as well. But I've enjoyed seeing new players, different play styles.
100%.
I forget which team it was earlier. I think it was North Epsom. Brought along like Glaz, Sens, Blitz. Yep. They just went for the full-on sweatiest comp you can possibly imagine. And then the Blitz just storming in and taking massive control on main stairs. Oddly enough, on Villa, the map we're about to go into. So we are seeing a little bit of fun come out, which I'm all for. And when I say fun, I mean not fun for the defenders, but very good fun to watch as a viewer.
Variety. Spice of life, Des.
It is.
It's the spice of Siege.
And of life, as you said in the first case. We will be getting into game in just a moment, so bear with us for a couple. Tim, I'm going to get nice and cosy.
You get cosy.
There we are. Just as we're about to launch the game as well.
Just as we're about to go.
Perfect for me. 25 seconds, and it even counts down to the game.
Oh, beautiful.
That's
We're going to have
level.
one of our fantastic flyovers. I've been enjoying watching these.
When I first saw them earlier on, I was like, oh no, is the video machine broken? Is it showing everything in a purple tint?
No.
But it's the colour of the major.
It's just on brand.
I've got to give it to Blast, by the way. This studio is really cool.
It is. It's beautiful.
Yeah, like the area we're actually sat in, like, I never really got the impression from watching NAL, but it's like really deep as a set.
It is, yeah.
Like it's a good 10 metres of depth that you can play around with very easily. And admittedly, a couple of places where Tim's nearly broke his leg.
Well, yeah.
Just blame old age for that one then. That's not Blast's fault.
Yeah,
There's no one else has nearly broken their leg. Just you.
No, it's
Was it behind us when you nearly fell down?
both behind and in front.
Brilliant.
It's completely my fault, really.
Yes.
Not watching where I'm going properly.
I love it when you take fault for yourself, Tim.
Yeah. I take responsibility for my actions. Don't you worry.
Ta-da!
One of these teams is going to have to take responsibility for a loss at some point tonight, Des.
Hey! Very
Yeah,
good, Tim.
That's how it's going to go.
Nice segue.
If Elevate don't win here on Villa, it will be them. As a reminder for anybody who's come in that missed me say it at the beginning of this, we're in a best of 3. NIP have won map 1, so they only need one more map. And the first one to claim those 2 maps will continue in the tournament. The other team will go home. We are in a GSL format stage at the minute, so this is Group B that we're in.
And the winner of this plays the loser of SSG
and
6
Karma.
I was about to say R6 Karma, but no, it's not
6
Reddit.
Karma. Yeah, so the
We're not on
loser.
Reddit farming Karma, guys. They're called 6 Karma. It's fine.
That's also a best of 3 because that's playing for who goes through, who qualifies. So then it will be the loser plays the best of 3 for who goes home and who qualifies.
Absolutely. How spicy.
It is spicy. Like I said, I enjoy the format in that every game is super important.
Everything's meaningful, yeah,
Everything
big time.
matters. Everything matters.
It's not all to like, write games off that we've had previously at previous tournaments, but
No,
some
that's
games you
not.
look at in the group stage and you're like, oh, it's 2 teams that are stuck in 4th and 5th, they're definitely going home. This best of 1 means nothing. Or, oh, these 2 teams are already qualified. It also means nothing. Whereas here, teams are going home or qualifying into the next stage pretty much straight away, which is all good fun. Right. We're into Villa. Let's get on with it. NIP starting on the defensive side. Aviator Games to kick things off, and our bands have rifled through. Elevate have even taken away the line. A pick they used quite a bit on the last map as well, so somewhat surprised by that. NIP not wanting to deal with the Ying, yet still picking the Warden on Wizard already here. And that army, I think, as we've seen from a number of teams today, is going to keep on drawing bans. Just makes sites far too dynamic when it comes around to defending them, but it does leave things like the Mirror online, which is exactly what Psycho has jumped on and picked.
Yeah, Mirror super powerful. From the day she came into the game, transformative for many sites, and just the ability to gather intel, but to act directly upon it yourself is one of those huge strengths. So we've got one of those played inside of site, which is going to help them to hold down Study. Psycho at the minute actually playing at the top of Red Stairs, just looking towards that potential north-sided push that is being put together at the minute by Elevate. They're already looking to get themselves inside the map. Tolji's there, drones racing around him. And again, it's that speed that you've talked about from Elevate on the attack des. They really don't mess about in sort of staking a claim to the map and getting themselves in there.
These drones wouldn't fare too bad in micro machines there, I say, Tim. Already a bit of pressure coming up Red Stairs as well for the Speakeasy, just to remind them, hey, we do have multiple angles on which we can come pushing. Tolji snaps onto Moosey's head, though, decimates him already with the G36C. And Moosey will be the first to fall here on Villa.
G36, see you later, as Moosey was cut down.
It's too late for this, Tim. I can't deal with it. Stop.
And Speakeasy's just going to dip away from the top of Red Stairs as Psycho manages to pick up Happy. And that's actually pretty good for NIP. They've still got a really good position being held there inside of Trophy, behind that mirror window. And as you can see, it's becoming a little bit of a stumbling block. No! Psycho steps out. I don't know if some utility had gone in to force him out of that position, but he just gives himself away, as does Pino. And it's Tolji and Speakeasy against Wizard and Cons in a 2 versus 2.
Wizard of Cons. It's like Wizard of Oz, but a little bit different.
Yeah, it's like that, Des, if it was completely different. Yeah.
Nah, it's only there. It's only there. It's halfway there. Tolji is on a bit of a heater already in this round. Has an assist for himself, 2 kills as well. He knows about the one man that's down towards his right-hand side, then that at least gives some indication there's a split going on. I don't think they're fully aware of Wizard, who's currently sat inside a study, mind you. So he is the unknown factor in this round that they've got to worry about. But one thing they can almost, not quite guarantee, but are relatively sure of, they knew at least top 90 is clear. It's pushing down it that's going to be the next really big challenge.
Sunan's going to move around
and
just look to get that wall open. But as you say, Jammer is in place. Not going to be possible. Going to make things a little bit more difficult for Elevate. 30 seconds left to go. He's going to use it instead on the side, and Con steps out, gets one, jukes back into the room, back out, and finds the second. Beautiful little two-piece from him to finish the round, and NIP pick up their first defense.
Yes, I mean, a little bit shaky to begin with. I like the fact they went for an extended hold, but as I said, Tolji really put them under a heater there as well, with the opening kill and immediately coming in towards Astro, just snapping onto Muzi's head. And you mentioned about the player stepping out from behind the mirror window as well, a little bit of a kicker there. The kind of thing that normally you don't want to step away from. I think it was here where he steps across and he's like, oh, free feet. I love feet. And just took the man down for free. And then Cons, well, the double step out, as you say, the juke in and out. Big performance, NIP already with one on the board. That's the kind of start you were hoping for on this map.
That's the danger for Elevate, really, because NIP pick up the primary site. They're going to go down to Kitchen next. You know, they've then potentially got the option of Trophy Statuary. As I said, Elevate really on the attack, I feel, need a 3-3 half here, you know, to give themselves a good chance at winning this map. And this isn't an ideal start towards that, because you can see this round is very important, and it's not often that I say that about a round two, but this is pretty important. If NIP can take Dining and Kitchen over the line here, they go to Trophy Statuary and win that. NIP have already got their 3 at that point.
You know what I love, Tim?
That you're miles away. I love it as well.
You can cast like 10 meters away from me off one TV, and I'm going to cast on another one. This is brilliant. Actually, no, that one's slightly cut off. It's been clipped. I'm coming over to your one again.
Oh, he's here.
I'm back. Hi, Tim.
Never mind.
We really are in the Witcher now, so tell you what. It's 20 to 9, but we've been here since about 8:30, so I'm just like, woo! Okay, onwards we march. Drone work coming inside already for Tolji. Again, started out real strong here. Dropping away from the Iana over towards playing on the Ash. Now, for the longest time, you'd probably say, well, even probably still today, that you'd be looking in towards playing the Iana over something like an Ash, because grenades are just far too good, but both with a pretty similar gun here, bringing out the G36, but it's off the back of Ape marching in, and marches straight into the end of Pino's shotgun. A second on towards healthcare, and it's all gone wrong for the Elevate boys on what looked to be a pretty nice surprise coming against these players. Finally, Speakeasy gets a trade back, but the damage has already been done. They're down 2 players, now make it a third.
It's not looking good for them here, and as I said, I felt this was a particularly important round because it just leaves NIP able to move on to another sort of power site, really, and potentially get that 3 rounds straight off the board that they wanted. You know, the 3-3 half, they're going to be looking for 4-2-5-1, and that's the mountain that Elevate do not want to have to find themselves climbing. We just see Chubbs in the background there, the coach for NIP just moving down, congratulating them all on a round well done, and they march on 2-0, and that's how you stop a blitz, Des, if anybody at home was wondering.
Shoot him in the shoulder because he's not looking at you dead on. Yeah! It's not quite that easy normally, Tim. I think it's just more the fact that he was surprised to find Pino so close, and obviously didn't spend in time to be able to soak up that blast with the shield. And ultimately they paid the price as a result. 2 rounds on the bounce now for NIP. As we go back upstairs, Trophy and Statuary this time round with that Castle, the architect of the site, on side.
As I suggested, really.
Oh, is this going to be the... Maybe. You can get some really interesting holds coming out here, but based on where the ADS is going down, I'm not convinced it's going to be directly inside of the walk-in. You get some cool holds that you can do here where you can station like a dock inside of there, for example, scattered around by magnets or ADSs, whatever it might be, and you can sort of dance in and around the triple wall. In fact, I think we are seeing that. It's like the Alamo hold, if you remember. So, Observer, can we spin our camera 90 degrees, please, so we can look at the triple wall? Triple wall, I want to see triple wall. Yeah, you get to that one on the right. So on the right-hand one then, the idea is you're trying to use the cover that comes from these castle barricades on the single windows in the archway that lets you kind of maneuver and challenge in towards bathroom. It becomes a little bit of like a little bit like a traffic jam, really, for the attackers, because there's just so much utility to work for. Oh, my God, Cons is going for it. And
He has no right. He has no right.
He has none. But he has got away with it by some massive stretch and is still inside the building, still alive, and able to keep on gunning.
My concern for Elevate rises because NIP seem to just be growing in confidence round after round as Cons there sees the top of his man and just decides, I'm going nowhere. I am having this kill. I don't care if people are going to be coming for me. And he does fantastically well to get it. He takes Buck off the board. You know, always a powerful operator. Skeleton Key just able to open up those soft surfaces at distance. And it just gives NIP a little bit of an opportunity to do things like this, to get aggressive, to keep Cons active inside that closet.
Right, I really think we've got to see Elevate breathe a little bit here. Tolji needs to get those X-Kairos onto those armor panels, otherwise they're not going to be able to move their way forward at any meaningful pace. So that's got to be the pause, get that done. Now, that way you can't have the castle stepping out to challenge inside a bathroom. They've got to get some degree of control, but everything still stays closed up here, and this is really going to bite them. They're trying to force their way in. They are being absolutely slaughtered by NIP because they haven't gone for the basics of step 1 and step 2, which is break down as many of these castle barricades as you can to give yourself more angles to hold, because right now, from outside the building, they could do nothing.
Well, they needed to breach the bathroom wall as well that we saw them try, but in lieu of being able to, they've just tried to continue without, and Cons has punished them. He's had 2 kills from inside of there. Psycho is going to get taken down, another one for Cons, and it's all come down to that closet. 4K on the round. It has all come down to that closet and not dealing with it. Not dealing with the castle barricades, not dealing with the reinforcement from bathroom. In order to deal with that reinforcement, they needed to deal with Psycho. How do you do that? You put somebody on bathroom window. They've got Hibana there ready to apply the pellets from bathroom window.
Cheer up, Psycho. You winning the game 3-0, mate.
You just need a second player on that window to stop Psycho peeking out from there, and you can get that done, but Elevate just haven't managed.
The thing is, I get the frustration for like the closet, like castle barricade. You can't break that off without first stopping the players that are inside a trophy or inside a statue. Sorry, I always picked the 2 up. You can't stop them inside a statue from being able to safely spray those off the closet wall. So like I said earlier on, you have to get rid of the ones that are on the archway windows first.
Yep.
Have someone be able to challenge either on towards master door or in towards the master rotate, and just stop these things being shot off for free. Otherwise, there's no ability to challenge that player inside a closet, as you saw, and then it's making things far too easy. So again, just by missing out one of those castle barricades and not having Tolji focus on getting that open first before looking to get things open up elsewhere, that really punished them and just had them walking again into a bit of a maze that NIP had set up for them. Really good hold. Elevate, though, will have to go back and look at that one and see better ways to get things done.
Well, there was no plan B for Elevate either.
That's the problem.
So let's, you know, for argument's sake, you don't get the castle barricades, you know you're not going to get the closet wall. Okay, what do? You rotate. You rotate away, you get yourself in through study side, and you come from the south instead. You know, it might not be the preference, but it's got to be better than just feeding Cons, which is exactly what happened, and he gets 4 on the round. He's absolutely laughing.
That's it. So we need to see a little bit more coming out from Elevate there if we come back onto that site again, because for NIP, it's that classic why fix what ain't broken. No, we've done that first quarter. We're going back into a full rotation of things, so let's see how things can shape up. In fact, almost finding a nade, I think, from below there on towards Wizard. Half HP, far from the end of the world, but they're still fishing out with a couple more of those nades heading skywards.
Ape's got himself established in the living room underneath. Interesting push, because it is onto Aviator and Games. We don't tend to see it started underneath. It tends to be in through sort of bathroom and master, and then you try to work your way across from there. But instead, they are potentially going to head up the stairs. Not a surprise, because it was some difficulty that they encountered last time dealing with Psycho, for example, inside of Trophy. Cons is going to be holding.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's got to be a freebie. Psycho does get down. There's nothing that they can do to stop that.
That's the problem as well. You're dealing with a Blackbeard, right? But Cons is 7-0. It's the reverse James Bond on the go here. He's being called out, but going to back his way straight upstairs. Invites the Blackbeard up, but there we go. That face shield doing a little bit of work until Muzi is there for the trade. Now they know that one more is still on these stairs, but they see another. In comes Tolji. Why is he sprinting in there? Gets himself clapped out. It's a 2 versus 2. Call it the main stairs madness. The absolute massacre as another one comes on through. Pedo into another is looking for his last. Gets the second, and NIP go 4-0. 0.
Certainly not going to plan for Elevate here on Villa. Granted, they're on attack. They chose the map. They wouldn't have chosen that site. They're going to be looking towards their defense. The problem is, are they going to be in that SSG situation again? If NIP are able to take this 5-1, 6-0, you've got to start asking, are Elevate capable of running that back in? And it starts to become a huge ask. You look at it and you think 6-0, NIP need one round. They've got to be able to find it somewhere. Even at 5-1, yeah, they've got to be able to find those couple of rounds somewhere, surely. So really, for me, Elevate, it's essential that they win these last 2 rounds on the attack, otherwise they're in big trouble.
I think what scares me is, although I know that round it came down to a 2 versus 2, it's still that the rounds haven't felt close strategically.
No.
Where they have got close to winning a round, it's been kind of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. Throw as many players into this gunfight or this area of the map and just play for trades. You know what? It can work, but it's not a consistent way of coming out on top in these rounds, and that's what's making me a little bit nervous here. That they, chances are they don't even get a single round here in the next 2, and suddenly they're staring down the barrel of a 6-0 for the second time today. And given how early it went, maybe you fancy your chance of bouncing back. But I don't say to the NIP have 0 chance across 6 rounds of pulling out something a little bit saucy to get this over the finish line.
I mean, I feel for Elevate because it's been a real rollercoaster ride for them today. You know, with some of the rounds and some of the performance that we've seen out of them, to say that they finished the day with 2 6-0 halves against them, I think it's actually really unfortunate. I don't think they deserve that. You know, they have played better than that. And we're not at that point yet. There's 2 rounds for them to try and get something done here. But NIP, I said earlier that they'd managed to find the accelerator. Now they've definitely found that extra gear.
They have. I mean, Healthcare's already gone down. Speakeasy's not... Oh, I was going to say, I thought for a second he'd get sideswiped by Pino, who does take some shots back, misses, but Psycho is there for the trade. And again, it's just been this constant team play. Look at the Blackbeard, for example. When it got the kill in the last round, Muzi was there straight away for a trade. There is always an answer on the NIP side. They're playing really well as a unit, whereas Elevate in places, it feels like they're sending people on one-man missions to die. And, well, you're seeing the results in the scoreline, right? It's 4-0. They're down to a 4 versus 3 in this round. Really got to start playing more as a team, I feel, if they want any hope of holding on here.
Ape just looking to push 90, somebody who's been a little bit quiet compared to that first game against SSG. Does manage to get his kill onto Muzi there, but will be taken down by Psycho's Nitro, and that leaves us now in a 2 versus 3. It's Sunan and Tolje looking to get themselves something going from the top floor, but look at what NIP have done. 3 of them back down to site, no messing about. They're just going to burn time and hold angles.
Which is the right way to play this.
Absolutely, 100%.
You've got to see 4 in back pocket. You haven't got to try and challenge anymore for those final 2 players. You have to commit at least 2 players if you are going to, which leaves sight a little bit bare. You've got to force the attackers here to be the ones that have to think of a solution. They're the ones that are stuck down in numbers, down on time, all these things working against them. So this feels like the right time to try and play a little bit safer here if you're on the side of NIP.
Yep, and Wizard knows that he's there, tries to make the challenge with the shotgun there. Just can't quite land the shots, but this has been the NIP way for years, essentially. It's been something that they've been very good at, and that is an explosive early to mid-round, get yourself the advantage, find those kills, and then what they do so well is control the game from there, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. 3 versus 2, and just forcing Elevate to play, forcing them to rush through those vertical angles, forcing them to take risks, and Cons is there to punish one. Tolje will manage to find the reverse kill, the trade, but he can't find any more. He's half health with 15 seconds, just trying to get any angle he can to help him.
And here, none of those angles are going to help him, I'm afraid. Maybe would have found Psycho, but with not enough time left, it would have been done and dusted. 5-0, and Psycho is... I don't want to say he looks miserable, because maybe it's not that. Maybe he's a bit under the weather, but... It's not even focused. Like, he just looks a little bit, like, subdued is probably the best way I can describe it. Maybe he's tired, maybe he's not feeling particularly well. I'll ask them later on and try and find out, but either way, no matter how the players might feel, they're still putting on one hell of a show at 5-0. Oh,
it's been brilliant so far. Elevate, I think... I've got to be honest, I've praised them a lot today, and they've been fantastic entertainment, great value. But I think they just... I think they're struggling a bit in this one, if I'm honest. It is their map choice, but if you remember, let's go back to when we spoke about the map bans. I did question Villa as their map choice. I said, you know, I feel for you've got your coach standing in.
Here we go.
You're going to be stretched thin on Villa. It's going to be very difficult for you. Strat-heavy map. There's a lot to do. You know, maybe they'd have been better on a smaller, more compact, more straightforward checklist sort of map. You know, as we saw on Oregon, they had a good performance there. They were able to pull it back against SSG nearly. But I just think Villa's maybe been a step too far.
Well, this is the round I was really excited to see, was the repeat of Trophy and Statue, and if we were going to see NIP do the same thing again, which they have done. And to be fair to Elevate, they've adapted. They've brought along the Capitao, whose bolts aren't caught out by Jaeger ADSs, for example. They've got the Amaru on side. They've got the Nook to go a little bit sneaky peeky upstairs. They've got the Twitch drone to help them get rid of any crucial bits of gadgetry. I do feel like they've gone for the right sort of lineup here to try and crack open what was a really interesting defense last time. The only thing I'm a little bit nervous about, though, Tim, in fact, you know what? I'm going to take back what I said. It's completely wrong. They have no range destruction, so they've got no way of really dealing with these castle barricades easily.
And on top of that, they've just lost Ape with a couple of nades that could have dealt with those barricades, potentially, if they could have got them in there. That's not worked out as the Amaru zips in through the window. It feels like at the minute, Des Elevator just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. The problem is that nothing is sticking right now. NIP, they are there, and they are ready at every turn, every angle to get those kills. 5 versus 3.
I really like with how much smoke they had, for example, and I felt like they could probably make this work. The problem, again, with no range destruction is you can't remove the castle barricades, ergo NIP are free to move however they want inside of sight. I mean, here they're not even on site. There's 3 of them playing off it. Oh, my God, Muzi's lucky to be alive there. Thought for a second his head was surely gone through the outline that we saw. But he's on the deck now inside of Vault, which means this might get... Oh, my... How has he got away with this twice? Even nearly 3 times here. He still stands. Half the round is gone. There's 2 players down on Elevate side. They've got almost no drones left standing. This has been one hell of a miserable half. They are down 6-0 for the 2nd time today.
Not ideal by any means for Elevate. As I said coming in as well, I know I've, you know, picked up on that question mark that I placed over Villa, but I was just... For Elevate, they poured a lot into map 1 to lose it 7-5, and I just didn't know if this one was going to get away from them a little bit, and it has indeed. Coming in on the attack of Villa has certainly not worked for them, but they have shown great resilience once today against SSG. They've shown an ability to fight back into it. This is their chance to show us that mental fortitude again, but they've got a real mountain to climb now.
What a shock horror. I was about to say for a second, NIP are bringing along... Okay, they are bringing along 2 drone-based operators, the Flores and the Brava on side. 4 grenades to help them go fishing for utility from below if they so need it. Pretty decent lineup. On the other side, we're seeing the Doc pick coming in here. Now, Doc was an operator that I thought that we might see during that cubby hold coming out from NIP towards the back end of that first half on Trophy and Statuary. Because normally what we've seen a few players do is stick a Doc inside of there, so if nades do start coming on through, or using all the sight lines the defenders have to their advantage, you can juice players back up easily. It just means you can keep on going for these gunfights. But here, it's being used on this site instead. And for those maybe aren't aware, does have 3 charges, 200 HP per charge now. It's not like you've got to sink 3 bullets or 3 charges into one person to get them back to full HP anymore. Everyone gets fully juiced up, which is always nice to see.
Elevate just throwing caution to the wind at this point, getting themselves up to the windows. Let's have a look. We saw them do it back on Chalet as well, not really to too much impact. They do give it another try. It's not going to work out as Psycho is the one to find the opener. Sunan is going to be taken down with a headshot, and that leaves us 5 versus 4. And Elevate's time here in the Copenhagen Major might just be limited, Des.
May well be running very, very short. I mean, yes, it's only 1 player at this point as well, but again, given how that first half went, you'd be forgiven for expecting this one to go the way of NIP as well. For now, at least, still dug in behind reinforcers, behind laser gates. They've, of course, still got the Warden on side as well for any flashes that come running on through. They've got Goyo canisters to burn through. They've got heals. There is still a lot that NIP have got to work through here, and we know that they're a slow team, which does give Elevate time to sort of adapt here. But now we're starting to see the fishing coming in from below with the Nook and the Iana sending those nades skyward.
Ape manages to get one, but will be traded out by Pino, and you picked up on it earlier, Des. The teamwork from NIP on Villa particularly
the trades
has
have been
fantastic. Every time somebody dies, there is somebody else there backing them up, and it really has paid dividends for them. 4 versus 3, halfway through the round. Healthcare still in position on those stairs. Going to need to hold on to that position for as long as possible now. Pino just waiting, biding his time, thought that the challenge was going to come, but it wasn't. Just a little bit of bad information there maybe as well, as Healthcare manages to get himself back safely into sight.
It's got to feel like playing the floor is lava at this point. It just keeps on going back and forth constantly. Nades coming up, Flores drones going down. Just making sure that the remaining members of Elevate are staying pretty light on their feet and not sitting in one place for all too long. Now, we are in towards the last 60 seconds here. So they've done pretty well to hold on against the aggression. Pino being brought down and making this a 3v3 definitely will give Elevate a little bit of hope. Even more so as another one comes their way. Maybe finally Elevate will get themselves around here on Villa.
Yeah, they might just be able to do this and prevent that 7-0 that they really don't want to go out with. They want to keep fighting. Muzi can't push forward for the time being until that fire burns out, which it will. Needs to time this well with Wizard as well, so that they push at the same time, and they need to find kills. They're just going to be opening up the vault. That could be a big play here, but there is one hard left of that breach. Wizard needs to be aware of. Looks around, finds his man. No, finds his death as Healthcare manages to pick up the headshot. It's all up to Muzi in a 1 versus 3. 10 seconds left to go. He finds the first. Can he find himself any more? It looks like the man has moved out of the vault. The challenge is there. Muzi's got him down. One more 4 seconds. Can he find his man? He knows where he is. The challenge comes in, but no! Muzi cannot find the shots, and Elevate somehow hold on.
With the 1-2, the constant dipping in and out there, has surely thought that Speakeasy was done for, but just about holds on and wins out the 1 versus 1. Elevate aren't quite ready to go home just yet, but it's 5 rounds they've got to climb, Tim. That is a tall, tall hill to climb, to ascend, if they want to keep themselves in the competition by sending us into overtime.
It really is, you know, but as we always say, we can only look at this 1 round at a time. Elevate managed to get one done. This was close. Muzi knows where he is. He's just trying to take the fight on his own terms there, but Speakeasy, he's been around this game for too long to get beaten like that. Just keeps the little tap pre-fires going, 2 or 3 bullets. He's not going to empty his magazine to prevent Muzi coming through there, because he wants to be ready for that fight, but he just makes it extremely difficult for him. Absolutely perfectly played in those final seconds, and Elevate get themselves 1 at least.
Alrighty, onwards we march. The fact that it came down to a 1v1 tells you a whole lot, I think, though. It's not exactly clear-cut for Elevate here that they are out of the woods just yet. As said, it's still a very tall hill to climb. Bit of a change in their setup coming in here, though. Quite dug in when you're looking at it, with things like the Yokais on side, the Clash here, the Goyo canisters, Shield, for example, coming out of both Sunan and out of Speakeasy. Just a lot to really dig in and say, right, you're really going to have to work your way through these layers of utility if you do even want to think about touching the site.
But as we said earlier, you know, a lot of the time the mentality is, if you really want to get around, bring a shield. And that's exactly what they've done. Clash needs to be dealt with.
I mean, they tried the Monty and it didn't work too well.
It didn't work out too well, but they're going to give it another go, Des. Sometimes you've just got to keep throwing those dice and see if ultimately you get the roll that you want. Speakeasy can't find his man, needs to be careful that he's going to do exactly that. I was going to say, he needs to hit the deck and make sure that he doesn't get picked up on the reverse angle through that window. They're going to want those Yokai drones for a mite sight longer.
Yeah, Con's fortunate to be alive there as well, but 1 bullet going the wrong way towards his head and he'd be out of this one. Hard breach is down. Really not the dream start that they would have wanted, but I like the Speakeasy how he did hit the deck. Didn't try and chance it by sprinting across there. Yeah, we saw for the longest time that Echoes would be the one going for spawn peaks, and I used to hate it because the Yokais are so valuable. Later into the round, kind of the power spike goes up the closer towards 0 that you get, that it feels silly to throw away such a valuable operator so early in the round on such a high risk yet high reward play.
Halfway through the round, we still don't have NIP really in control of any significant area of the map yet. Wizard has managed to get established underneath, which is good, but he's going to need some information from above if he's going to make these nades work, and they could really do with finding some kills. Can this be the immediate response from NIP? No, the timing is just off. Psycho's life was lost along the way, and Elevate have got themselves another good start.
A frustration here as well, I think, is that As this clock runs closer and closer to 0, you still got to deal with critical operators like the Clash. Without valuable utility, you are basically screwed in trying to deal with that operator. Here they're trying to put quite a bit of work in around Astra by the looks of it. 2 of them pushing their way forwards. 1 down inside of walk-in, at least for now. But only 45 seconds on the clock. This is looking... Oh, what? Did Muzi just shoot him? I want to say it wasn't Muzi, but it looked like Muzi.
It was told you on the feed.
It was, but he's the one who's playing the Frost and got... No, he didn't. Yeah, so it was. It must have been told you, right?
Yeah.
Weird. I saw him jump in his shoe and I thought, is he going for a second frostbite and killed his teammate in the process? Really rattled me for a second. There was a team kill coming in. Great read from, I thought it was Muzi again, but no, it's Pino picking up kills. Stop just getting different kills. Yes.
This is, in effect, almost a 2v2. You've got the Clash, but of course, with the shield out, there's no active weapon there to fight against you, so they can double team like this. They can move forward and they can look for other challenges, other kills, but no, Ape manages to switch to the secondary somehow, gets taken down, but there's the knife from Healthcare, and what a crazy finish to the round that sees Elevate get their second, and the fight continues, but now comes the big test, Des. Now comes the big question. Can they survive through that third choice site?
That is the tough one, and I'll keep on saying I'm not convinced they can, but if they get through this site, there is every reason why they can go on and win the next 3 by playing the same sites all over again. It would be crazy for the second time in a day they almost, if not do, manage to achieve to turn around a 6-0 that really looked like it could have easily been a 7-0. Some replays here from that round as well. I wonder if we'll see this here, look.
No, it was moving.
Yeah, that's...
Unless they just made the decision that it couldn't be collected and... that was that.
Maybe?
Or, like you said, they were concerned about a second frostmat.
I mean, there was a second frostmat. You saw as he jumped in, and maybe that's what he had to guarantee he got rid of. It's just unfortunate, yeah. Unlucky, I guess.
Never mind.
Is what it is.
It is. We move on then. We will be in round number 9 here as we go to Dining and Kitchen. It's a site that NIP were able to win twice. Will Elevate be able to replicate? Are we on another timeline like we were against SSG, where we come into the second half with Elevate 6-0 down, thinking that that is going to be their race run, only for them to inch their way back into it a round at a time. We will see over the next 3 minutes, because NIP, this is your chance. This is the third choice site. This is the one to go and win this on.
Ape, naturally, I think we saw this out of him and Healthcare a couple of times today. Cheeky at the windows, hoping for a spawn peak to come in. No one's going to give him the pleasure of over-peeking too aggressively here. They were at this window last time around with the Clash as well, just trying to find a little bit of information. So it's a similar sort of story. Gives you that kind of safety in the northwest side that you aren't going to have someone trying to aggress onto you too early. So you can still play around top red quite safely without being sprayed down from that angle.
Muzi's going to be the one to work through the basement. Droning going around. It's such a large area. It's very difficult to drone every single corner. Muzi's doing his best. He's moving quickly, but you really can't cover the whole thing. He's more going to cover his path to the stairs, I think, so he can just go in there and start working his way up, and maybe make a little challenge directly onto site as well. Healthcare for the time being is going to be wedged inside of statuary at the minute. He's got his triple wall reinforced in front of him, and his position is to delay that push into Master for as long as possible.
Being diligent still, though. Again, for NIP, the big focus that's been the story of the day has been diligence, I think, and information. Sometimes to their own detriment, but they're taking a bit too much time to get things done, namely figuring out exactly where they want their push to come from. But it's always been in close proximity. Kind of like a slow-moving juggernaut. You get too close, they will bite your head off, but they have to actually get close to sight in the first place, which you can prevent them from doing. Speakeasy, the first one to fall to Cons, who's having a wonderful map. He was 7-0 earlier, sorry. Has slowed down a little bit across the last few rounds, but still putting up some big numbers for the team.
Yeah, he's had a fantastic outing here on Villa. Ape is going to take down Psycho, though. Manages to just level things up at 4 versus 4. Time will soon start becoming a factor as well. Muzi is able to move up those pantry stairs, so can maybe start looking to apply pressure directly to site, but a nicely placed Gumine from Speakeasy means that he is still assisting his team even from beyond the grave. Unfortunate
not to be able to finish off soon on there as well. Did manage to double back on himself and get out of dodge without staying attached and glued to that bomb chassis. So that's another play now they're not 100% sure on the exact location of. They can actually forego top floor control here, which can be really risky, as you've just seen. Healthcare just beaming Pino there, finding his head on the way through as well. It's another man advantage for Elevate.
just challenges continue, and NIP seem to be running out of ideas. They're just running in through doors here, just getting cut down one after another. Wizard manages to find healthcare, but Cons is down. It's all up to Wizard effectively. 2v2. Ape taken down. That's 3 on the round, but he's low health and only 9 seconds. Can't find the last. It's healthcare to close it out, but that was a little bit closer than Elevate might have liked.
A little bit ropey there towards the end, but we've had 2 or 3 rounds this half like that now where they really had to battle for it, but it's 4 rounds on the bounce. Was it not the same? No, sorry, 3 rounds on the bounce. That was the thing I was looking for, that quarter completion to show that they can win each site at least once. Gives you some hope that they can do it again. NIP have called in their timeout here. They want a conversation about how to get this done now. They know they're going back to these same 3 sites. They know that they've lost all 3 of them. Sure, it's come down to 1v1s in 2 of them. So what? They want to win far more convincingly than just letting things come down to a chance gunfight between 2 players.
This is getting tough for NIP because, you know, they've also got the prior knowledge of what happened in that SSG matchup as well. They know how capable Elevate are of getting themselves back into this. It was far closer than it should have been against SSG. And in NIP's minds now, they're, you know, looking at that thinking, we don't want to be the ones that, you know, effectively allow Elevate to go one step even further, maybe take us to overtime, maybe take us the distance here. You know, they want to get this done here and now, and every round that slips by just mentally makes that more and more difficult.
Attackers need to locate.
All right, well, we've loaded in with a pretty interesting attacking lineup. We'll save commentary until it's been fully locked in once we get to the start of the round. 88 again is going to be where things start out once again, so you will see that same 3-site rotation. We will start here, up towards Trophy and Statuary, and then across and down in towards Kitchen and Dining. Now, big anti-throwable setup as well coming out for the side of Elevate. Most teams today that I've seen run have gone more towards playing just a Wamai or just a Jaeger. Rarely both alongside each other like we used to see back during the utility meta, back when, you know, there were countless shields, there was loads of gadgets you could protect things with. Really the big killer of that meta one was nerfing Wamai, so we got less discs, and then mainly in towards Jaeger as well, stopping it so that although his ADS can now recharge after a few seconds, before it used to be you got 2 charges, so with 3 ADS stacked together, 6 throwables could be cancelled out all at once, which was just absolute madness when combined together with the magnets. Now that comp has been locked in here, Tim. I'm really keen to see what Pino and Psycho especially get up to. We know that Cons is going to contribute in with the smokes as well, but this could be absolute chaos if they pull this off the way they want to, and they've already got rid of the Wamai. That's all those additional magnets that get charged, lost.
Yeah, that's a great start from Muzi there, just managing to open up with a big entry kill. NIP, they need to not lose anybody here. We've seen, you know, we've commented on their trading, we've seen good trade work from Elevate as well, so NIP just need to make sure that they consistently remain with a man advantage here. They're going to see the one heading towards the top of Red Stairs. Psycho's going to take the opportunities. First smoke canister does get taken out, but he's just going to take the opportunity to see if he can have a little look through Pino.
Nice.
And he goes 1, 2, and that leaves us 5 versus 2, Des.
Brilliant catch overall, locking down Study, flooding in towards the site. Speakeasy's got to look low. Shotgun comes out. He's trying to shoot him through the wall, but simply cannot find him. Ape's all that's left standing. They have been hoodwinked here by NIP with a fantastic attack after a timeout. They win it out in the 3v1. NIP stay and Elevate go home.
You really did feel that it was only a matter of time there for NIP to get that one over the line. I want to pay credit to Elevate there. I've commented on it a couple of times through the games. They've actually done fantastically well today. Their performances have been entertaining, and it's difficult circumstances for them, but ultimately, after a little bit of a surprise loss for them maybe in the first round today, NIP managed to come back and continue fighting through phase 1.
They do. I've got to really give credit to that last attack as well. The setup was beautiful. The lockdown of Study, playing behind those smokes, so it was pretty safe to hold the angle. Yep. And what you had was the Amara come zipping up into top red window, storm inside the site, somehow get past the player that was there, and then really start doing some damage. Find the kill on site, spin to the player top red, and there was nothing that could be done. No support that could come from Study because of the lockdown.
Yep.
Just overall really, really smart stuff from NIP.
Yeah, with, you know, Pino just stepping in there, just taking that, you know, aggressive lead that we've seen him do so many times. He knows something needs to happen. He knows that a hold needs to be broken, goes in, bang, bang, 2 kills, and that pretty much takes out the Elevate defence from there. They're then clinging on at that point. But, you know, it's a tough finish for Elevate. It was always going to be a difficult day for them. They've had to play 2 former world champions, Des, with the coach standing in. It's never going to be easy. And they've performed admirably, to be fair.
I'm not even going to give a shout. I'm going to give a shout out to Sunan as well. Like, he's no spoit, right? He hasn't come in here and set the world on fire, but I feel he's held his own there today against again 2 former 6 Invitational winning teams. Yep,
that's the fact. And, you know, there's been moments where he's won rounds, he's, you know, picked up big kills. He's really done a job for his team.
Yeah, some replays here coming out as well from that game, just in case you wanted to see. They kind of slaughtered that first half started out as NIP were up 6-0. And Elevate may have battled back valiantly, but ultimately, Tim, just not enough.
It wasn't, you know, particularly
so good we had to see this twice, by the way.
Particularly through the first half, NIP they were riding on a wave of confidence. You can see it, you know, in the way they were taking those gunfights. They were just absolutely dominating every different angle that they were on.
Some of the holds as well, I mean, Cons, again, especially the player I think I want to give a big shout out to in this game. Yeah, I think it's easy to look at you like Muzi, Pino, Psycho, big names that we've all known and loved and seen so many times. Wizard equally had a really good time on Chalet, so in a way, it was those 2 newer members today that I feel have really kind of stepped up and showed what they could do, alongside, of course, the many greats that we know already exist on NIP.
Well, they can be the difference makers, essentially. When you've had those roster changes, you know, those are the 2 players that we're looking at as to how well can they settle in, how well can they perform, can they, you know, bring something to the table alongside those big names that we know, and today they absolutely have done.
Whew, okay, well, that's been a pretty fun first day of action, I think, overall for us.
It has, it's been fantastic.
We're gone now for 2 days. We're not back until Thursday.
Couple of days off.
But there is tons more Siege to come over the next couple of days.
You know what I'm going to be doing for the next 2 days?
Lying in the bath.
I'm going to be watching the Copenhagen Major.
In the bath.
Possibly.
Definitely. What we'll do is we'll throw it to Ginny, who's with Gennaro and Pino, Pino, whatever you want to call it.
Can we just cut it here, please? Can we cut it? Thank you. Thanks, production. We don't want to listen to what Des has to say, but we're here with Pino, so first of all, congratulations. You guys win your first best of 3 here at the Major. How are you feeling at the moment?
Yeah, it feels good. The first match we had some problems with the audio, and we didn't fix it until the second match. So on the second match we could fix it. And the hertz too, the 360 hertz, it's hard to adapt. So on the second map, I switched it back to 240, so it felt better. And that's it. The first match, we had some problems, adaptation to the tournament. And on the second match, we could fix it and play better, so it feels good. We are not out of the tournament on the first day.
Yeah.
So we got to bounce back and play better to the next match and the phase 1.
You have another best of 3 coming your way, so you are making that lower bracket run. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, it feels good to play best of 3s. We are not a team of best of 1s. We ended last place on BR6, so we prefer to play best of 3s. We can play better maps, so it feels really good.
Yeah.
And if we can make it to the playoffs on the phase 1, it will be better to play best of 3s.
Okay, so from the best of 3 that you've just played and you had a really good performance, what has been the biggest takeaway that you want to implement into your next game?
Play with more confidence. The first game we are kind of nervous because of the best of 1.
Yeah.
6 Karma played really good. They evolved a lot with the new lineup. So we need to play with more confidence, more team play, communicate better, and that's it.
Okay. Well, that's good that you're aware of that, and thank you so much for taking time for the interview. Enjoy your celebration, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's it from us for today in terms of the best of 3s and all the games that we've seen. And we started off with 4 best of 1s. We ended it with 2 best of 3, but let's have a look at the brackets of today, just so we can have a little bit of an update to refresh our memories on what we've seen, because some of us have the memory of the goldfish. That's me. I don't know if you do too, but we started off today with Nip up against 6 Karma. And as we've just heard from Pino himself, Karma actually put on a really good performance. They're now in that upper bracket up against Space Station Gaming, who also had a good performance themselves up against Elevate, which means that Nip against Elevate was that lower bracket semi-final, and with Elevate going home, NIP goes further. Now, looking at Group C, which was the second group of today, we started off with Norception up against Raven. Raven went on to the upper finals, joined by Sonics after they beat Lavera, and Lavera unfortunately losing that best of 3 against Norception, so that is the second team that we have said goodbye to today. I'm personally really looking forward to Raven up against Sonics, but tomorrow we have other groups first. A little bit of a treat with another 4 best of 1s and 2 best of 3, starting off with Sandlax up against Fury and Eminem against Falcons. My personal favorite, if I'm being completely honest, having Falcons show first time here, MENA region being represented. I am very proud. Now, Group D is the final group for tomorrow, and we're going to be starting off with 2 best of 1s as well. W7M Esports up against Team Bliss, and Wolves up against Varel. Now, every single one of these matches are going to be a best of 1s, and the winners head over to that upper finals. There's going to be a best of 3, and the losers are going to drop to that lower bracket. So, as we've seen today, even though you lose your first best of 1, doesn't necessarily mean you go home. But if you lose a second, best of 3, unfortunately for Elevate, they also know now what that feels like. Thank you guys so much for tuning into today. It was absolutely packed with Siege, which is absolutely what we do love. We're going to be back tomorrow with the exact time, exact schedule, just different teams and more action.